You gonna burp yet or not? Good afternoon, good evening, and good day. Motoko says hello. Say hi, Moto. Anyway, today we've got a fair amount of topics to discuss, and hopefully she'll burp soon. But let's see. Let's make sure that everything is working. Who can hear me out there? Please leave a note in the chat. And David says hello and congrats. Thank you. Thank you. Well, you found your fingers, huh? Good. She's sucking her fingers. All right. So I didn't load up very many of the articles, but they are all in my document, and they are tagged with what they are for the most part. I think there's 4 that don't say why I put them in there. But for instance, our first one, let's do a screen share. Baby Motoko! That's right. Zachary says, hi, I'm at a Tesla meetup. Awesome! Hear you fine. Perfect. Perfect. They hear us great, baby. You want to say hi? Hmm? Say hi, baby. Hi, hi, hi. No? Okay. She's in her own little world right now. So what I was trying to share was this. Our friends at Chrysler are finally back in the EV concept game. It's been many, many years since we've seen a useful EV concept. They do have the Jeep Wrangler and Cherokee plug-in hybrids, but those aren't full EVs. And they are, as I keep saying with the plug-in hybrids, they are effective and they're great training wheels, but they are not where we need to be. So Inside EV titled this as Chrysler aims to reinvent the minivan for the electric era, according to the CEO. Yes, why are you wiggling? That's why you're out of the blanket. If you don't wiggle, you won't fall out of the blanket. Come on now. Better? You like that? No? How about this? Those toes in there. There we go. Okay, so this one, I don't think that it would actually sell looking like this. For one, it's a short wheelbase. We don't really do too many short wheelbases here in North America anymore, and it just looks a little too Tron-ish. But having an electric minivan is something that's kind of lacking right now. The closest we have to it is the Tesla Model X and the Rivian R1S, and the SUV version of the Hummer Ev. Those are SUVs. They're not vans. Vans have a different layout than an SUV as far as like you can still have all the seats up in a van and still have a massive amount of trunk space, and they don't do that on the SUVs. If you put that third row up, you're looking at a um, little micro cargo area. It's not quite practical. So let's see what he had to say here. I think it's safe to say we're looking to reinvent the minivan in our future lineup. Yep. All right. So it's got the LiDAR module up top. All right. Andrew says good evening, baby. Andrew says hello. All the way from Sweden. And then Eddie says, interesting to look though. Yes, absolutely. And it's not that same old SUV look as you keep saying, Eddie. Absolutely. And greetings from Arizona. Changed my handle to Timothy. All right. Oh, okay. I see. E-cars and ebooks is Timothy. Look at that. Yeah. I'm gonna have to update his name in the sponsors there. Yeah. Okay. So next, um, let's see what else this thing looks like. Because why build a concept if you only show it one side? I see the portal concept with the lidar on top. Are you hungry again? You just ate. You just ate. Can I get a bottle, please? All right. So let's take a look at these photos. I don't know. It's a little bit too much going on. I'm curious what the toned down version would look like because I do like where this is going. I do like it. Obviously, we'll never see the clear door panels unless that's like black paint. Yeah, Moto likes the minivan. Looking right at it. That's right. Yeah. Oh, I'm getting the milk. I'm getting the milk. She's rooting. She made this like weird face, like she lifts up one side of her lip and she like looks around. Wow, that's cute. Yes, yes, sweetie. Okay, so yeah, so this is a 2-row minivan. I don't know that that's particularly practical unless what they're trying to show us is that the styling and that they're going to put the third row in later. Yes, the milk is coming, sweetie. Milk. Did you say milk? Did you say milk? I know you can't talk. You're a week old, but can you say milk? Yeah. Oh, good job. Good job. It's coming. Okay. Okay. Now it's a three row. That third row looks like it's gonna be a bear to get into, though. I mean, look how far back it goes. Thank you, Anders. Thank you. It's coming, sweetie. She's got to warm it up. You don't want it cold because it could lower your body temperature, and you're a small one. Yes, you're a small one. All right. So I like this. I've always been a fan of minivans. I don't think that having the short wheelbase will be any good with three rows, though, because look, it has that same problem as all the SUVs where you don't have any space in the rear row. And that's not quite acceptable. I mean, if you're hauling little ones and strollers and car seats, you need the cargo room, don't you? Unless they're going back to Chrysler was one of the first ones to put a car seat in the car. Chrysler and GM actually built it into the middle seat, I believe. So if you did that, then that's one less thing to carry around, but you still need a stroller. And I don't know. This is that the charge door? This thing has great potential. All right, so Timothy says that sort of looks like a minivan version of the old BMW i3. Yes, exactly that. Like they stretched it out and gave it some actual meat on the wheels. Yeah. I think they're all going to get over this lidar kick because, as we saw with Toyota, they followed Tesla through in removing, well, not removing, but in going with the camera-based approach. So if Toyota doesn't want lidar, then and they're so stodgy and conservative about everything, then not necessarily politically, but like they just don't like changes. They don't like to spend money. I have a feeling that the other larger groups might do the same thing. You want this milk? You're over it? Okay, we'll wait. And this is something they showed on previous prototypes with the dual sliding doors. I don't know if that will ever happen, but it would make ingress and egress so much easier. And okay, so it is glass. It wasn't black paint. You can see the wheels through the doors. Interesting. I mean, we've seen what Tesla can do with all glass on the roof. I'm sure you can find a way to do it safely in the doors. All right, so you've got a nice dash here. It's you can slide your phone over. Got a nice little combo of touchscreen and buttons. I mean, I don't mind some buttons, but like, I'm not piloting a 747. Give me a good touchscreen and let's call it a day. Heads-up display is also really nice. So I like the way that this display comes up over the dash. Oh, that's hideous. That is a nice view. I love that. All right, let's see what else we got. Um, a big frunk might help, but it looks like the frunk isn't much. I agree. Although it could be like the Cybertruck where the frunk and the semi as well, where the frunk kind of goes into the dash. That would be cool. If the Cybertruck can have a Mad Max look, this can have a Tron look. You're right. You're right. There's room for everybody. I'm just curious, like how much Tron they can put in there without one Disney suing them, and two, um, it not selling well because it looks. I mean, we saw what happened with the Nissan Leaf. It was the best-selling electric car for a while, and then when other options came out, uh, they went for that until they did the styling refresh, and that didn't seem to help too much. But they did the styling refresh, and the visceral reaction people were having to the Nissan Leaf kind of went away. Oh, we got another yoke right here. Look at that. So Toyota, Tesla, and Chrysler are going for the yoke, huh? I guess that's their app. You gotta have an app. And I like that they took the pedestal seating from Tesla. They're not as pretty, but they look more practical. It's like got two rails instead of one. All right. Yeah, the battery was what really did the Leaf in, and I'm surprised to see that even though they learned their lesson with the Aria, they still have the same old Leaf out there, and without CCS at that. Like, why can't you change that module out in the non-Japanese sales areas? This looks nicer to me than the Mercedes. The way that they've done this. The Mercedes just kind of looks like they wanted it to have one glass panel, and then they had like screens everywhere, but they wanted it to look cohesive. But they didn't really achieve that in my eye. This is classy. Let's close that down. All right, let's see what's next. All right, so this one I wasn't really into the press release. It was more of the announcement itself. So Saudi Arabia, the same ones who were objecting to Elon purchasing Twitter and apparently lost that bid, uh, they they have a massive stake in Lucid, and it looks like they're going to purchase 100,000 Lucid vehicles, which is incredible. I mean, how many Lucids are actually out there right now? I want to say just a couple hundred, right? So, wow. And right now, somebody pointed out that every Saudi prince right now already has a Lucid Air. So another theory that came about with this was that perhaps this is an easy way to get money into the company without issuing more shares or without getting a loan, uh, so they can kind of inject more cash to make the company more viable without spooking the non-Saudi investors, which is an interesting theory. Let's see. Andrew said that van is just a concept, so very rarely so in the final model. Exactly. That's what we keep saying. Like Tesla and Honda are the only ones that the um, you really see the concept reflect what you actually get. And even more so than that is that Tesla tries to make this a little better. Honda actually puts the real thing out there with some like fake wheels and fake mirrors and maybe some colors that aren't available. And then, as Andrews is pointing out, everybody else tends to really sell the sizzle, and then when you actually get it, it's it's not even close. So we shouldn't get our hopes up, but we can also kind of get a glimpse into what they're doing, like we saw with the original Volt. If you squint, you can see kind of the outline of that weird Chevy Camaro thing that they showed us, but it never really came to be. It was round. It wasn't aggressive. Uh, it had a couple of the cues, like the grill thing and the split window in the rear, but it was nothing like the concept, other than it had a gas engine and it was plug-in. It didn't even have the three-cylinder diesel or whatever they were promised us. She's gone to sleep without eating, so we'll save that bottle for later. Okay. Let's see what the other folks were saying about this thing. Saudi with 63% ownership in Lucid, buying the cars from them. Same reason why Amazon, who owns 20% in Rivian, is buying vehicles from them. That's like ARK or BlackRock investing in Tesla and then ordering the cars from them. We are not the same. Okay, yeah, that's a fair point. At least Amazon has a plausible, justifiable use for the vans it ordered. It's hard to see what Saudi Arabia will be able to do with that many Lucids every year. It's the palace vehicle. Yeah, yeah. All of the servants and all the princes and everybody will drive a Lucid. I think Saudi is one of the ones where the females can't drive, right? So yeah, that's a little bit harder to justify that many cars by any means, but I can see each of these points. I can totally see them, but it's like buying oil from your own refineries since they own so much Lucid. Transport prisoners in comfort. uh, this is another fair point. It might just be talk. Or they could put the orders in and not take delivery. That still gets the cash into the company and has them not having to manage the logistics of maintenance and parking 100,000 vehicles. They'll also leave open the door to purchase 100,000 Lucid Airs. I definitely won't, but I could. That's another, yeah, up to. My like just rolled back. They'll never buy more than that. It's guaranteed. One car for every member of the royal family. I mean, these guys all have points. All right, so moving on. Thank you. Thank you very much. All right, so real quick, I'm going to load the next batch of articles real quick, and then we'll talk about what's on the screen here. Whoa, don't put it there. I can't read it there. You tried to put it in this live stream, which is not where it needs to be. Do, 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 do. There we go. We got some good ones coming up. All right. So in the meantime, as we were discussing, uh, Dominic had a chance to travel to the other side of the planet to drive a VinFast US prototype for a couple kilometers. There's a lot more to tell about this company, so stay tuned. So the reason I brought this one up, we talked about VinFast at the end of last show. They were the ones who. Oh, you're awake. Do you want this milk now? Milk. Open your eyes. Are you dreaming? I guess you sleep. Anyway, he has these very like active dreams. Anyway, so the VinFast is the one we were talking about. They were the latest version of the battery leasing technology, and so you buy the car for a nice low price, and then you have to pay monthly for your miles on the battery as well as the size of the battery. It's an interesting concept, and we'll see how it goes for making the vehicles more affordable. And I wish them luck. I don't know. I don't know that it's going to succeed. We saw what happened with Better Place. We saw uh, in Europe where they did a couple of leases on the Renaults. They all ended up just selling the car. And I mean, I can understand owning the battery and leasing the car, but leasing the battery and owning the car is uh, unless you get free upgrades and they're going to maintain support for a while. I don't see it. It's a great concept, but I don't see it in practice. So we'll see what Dominic gets when he is able to do his full write up over at Inside EVs. But let's see if he gave us anything that we can parse before we go. All right. I mean, it looks good. His finger poked at the D for drive on the center console to no avail. Is this thing even on? uh, Already in gear, there's no indication of the change from park until my right foot pushed the accelerator significantly further than expected to finally engage the electric powertrain. I wonder if that's going to be like the German cars. They have a significant amount of throw to get them started. All right. But so far, it sounds like he had a very bad start to this test drive. 15-inch screen. Oh, this is the first I've seen the inside of the VinFast. Okay, I can see how they could afford to make it the price they did. It looks like they're pulling the early Tesla approach and get their parts from other people, putting their logo on it. I like that it's got a frunk. There's so many cars coming out today that are EVs that don't have frunks. It's like you can't use the old paradigm on the new cars. It just, I mean, when even just regular car mags are like, hey, there's no frunk, or hey, the frunk only holds one letter, um, or worse, if the frunk is there but it only holds the on-the-go charging cable. All right, so he was not impressed. So let's wait and see what he gets on his longer test drive, and we'll go from there. Let's share this tab instead. All right, so world nickel and lithium production will be enough for 3.8 million EVs this year, fewer than half of the 7.7 million that the automakers say they want to make. By 2030, the metals will be enough for 15.6 million EVs, but stated production is over 40 million. Tweet one of two, the electric. We did the calculations for every year this decade using major metals and production forecasts. And assuming the forecasts are correct, we found the actual number of EVs it would be possible to produce each year through 2030. So let's see if we can actually get into this article. It says subscriptions, and I'm not a subscriber. So let's. Okay. Let's see. The highest volume of EVs are BYD and Tesla. BYD is 100% lithium iron phosphate, and Tesla is 50%, and headed higher quickly. The only thing currently lacking is lithium, and that will be solved by normal market forces. That was something I was going to say next. Is that uh, depending on how they wrote this thing, you can't assume linear investment. As Elon was saying at the end of last show, we were pointed out that well, Elon said in the earnings call, as we said at the end of last show, how the price of lithium, cobalt, and nickel have gone up thousandfolds since 2008. Elon said, "Hey, if you want to own a lithium mining company, uh, I think there'll be people that get in, and supply and demand will even out faster than one would expect." I'm curious if they took that into account in the article. We're gonna check that out in a minute. See, we have more than that. Surely this equates to around 300,000 kilotons of LCE, which I think is already in production. Seems low to me. All right, so let's go look at the article real quick. Try to look at the article, I should say, because again, I'm not a subscriber. Eh. I don't want to give him an email. So, well, that's that. So, based on just the tweet alone, they do bring up some good points about how much can we actually produce, and we bring that up every time we talk about, say, every time GM or somebody else says, "Oh, we're gonna have this many cars by then," and they don't have any battery manufacturing capability, and they haven't locked in anything with the supplier. So this is kind of the same situation. Good morning, Motoko. Good morning. You listen to me talk? Yeah. All right, let's move on to the next one. All right, this is coming from the other Omar. Tesla generated more profit selling 300,000 vehicles than GM did selling 1.5 million vehicles. So this right here points out where a lot of folks are pointing out that, oh, well, Tesla doesn't make as many vehicles as Ford. They don't make as many vehicles as GM. They do make more electric vehicles, which are the ones that are important going forward. And even so, if you take all of them into account, they are making more. So imagine once Tesla scales to larger than GM size. Talk about owning a mint, right? So Sawyer says that Tesla was more profitable than GM in Q1 2022, despite delivering 78% less vehicles. Total Q1 vehicle stats: GM was 1,427,000, down 19.5% year over year, and Tesla was at 310,048, up 67.7% year over year. So not just were they up, they had their all-time high in Q1, so which is their normally their weakest quarter. So if they can do that in Q1, what does the rest of the year bring? Even considering the supply chain constraints and all of the different factory shutdowns, and that's impressive. So total Q1 income was 3.3 billion, up 607% year over year for Tesla, and GM was 2.9 billion at down 3% year over year. Wow. The market watching this transition unfold. GM will make a lot less when they start selling EVs in higher quantities. I don't know about that. If they've built them correctly and priced them correctly, then they should see a profit. But um, I don't know. That he'll have to show his work on that one. We're already seeing margins never before seen from a major automaker, and the vertical integration and savings will only get better. The future is going to be insane. First mover on the raw materials, vertical integration too. I doubt this concept happens smoothly for Legacy Auto. Um, I would say some of them can pull it off, like Toyota and uh, well, Ford can do it if they have the will, and we've seen that they want to. So if they make the right moves, I see Ford being able to be a legacy that survives this thing. And they keep pointing out GM is leading. They have more in the market, like they've got more out there, but uh, they stopped for a good year building the cars, and so I don't know why they don't give Ford any credit for this, because even the Mazda 100-mile EV outsold GM for a quarter or two, which is just, you can't say that they don't have. You can't say they're leading if they're not producing anything. Is what is my concept. You can say that they're a good second place or something like that, but you can't say that they are leading if they have stopped. They're taking a nap. There's some more GM articles coming up to put that in. Hey, sweetie, look at that smile. They have some more articles coming up that will explain further into what's going on. They haven't stopped anymore, but they finally started making some forward progress. But mm, I don't see them being a leader at this point. Moving on, the Giga Berlin in Grünheide has had significant impact on the attractiveness of the region for doing business. Tesla has become a magnet, drawing suppliers and manufacturers from around the world to Eastern Germany. I mean, that just makes sense. You've got a profitable factory jumping in somewhere. People are going to want to bring in the parts, and you need all of the support facilities that go with that. So let's take a look and see what the article says. Sadly, the red tape and ill-intentioned environmental groups have made it difficult if you need to work fast. If you're not in a rush, then I guess it's okay. Trev brings up a really good point because uh, Giga Berlin should have been online more than 1 month before Austin came online, not within weeks of it. It's as Omar and I keep saying, they had the AstroTurfers and well, Omar, me, and Patrick and Mark actually. They have the environmental groups. I mean, sure they mean well, but uh, if you're a lot of them were putting perfect in the way of the good. Uh, if it was true that they used a little bit more water than they would have liked, so what? It's you would have had to use the same water to build the fossil cars, which are now not just out there as fossil cars having wasted the same amount of water, they're also polluting the air. And there's no way to make them cleaner except to round them up and take them in, or to pay these people to do retrofits. But even then, they can't get as clean as when they rolled off the line because of what they do. They get worse over time, not better. Whereas if you have a bunch of people on EVs and you have a coal plant outside the town, you shut the coal plant down and replace it with solar and battery or hydro or whatever. All of a sudden, every car in that city, assuming they were all electric, is now cleaner than when you bought it, which is incredible, and that's part of the promise of a plug-in car. All right, so let's go to that article and see what they say. I really see you guys chatting, but the YouTube says that you're not. That's weird. That might explain why YouTube always says that there were like one chat per hour. They're not seeing them all. Um, let's see. What points did they make that we can expand upon? SAS interior modules. Okay. Yeah. The trend is also confirmed by Thomas Krieger. Okay. I mean, we could have guessed this anyway. Like every time that some large company moves in, they need support, and that support will follow. That's why you can't just say like transport the iPhone production to California overnight. You need the people who make the screws, the people who make the adhesives, everything that goes into that product needs to move with them, and it will happen, but it won't necessarily be overnight. Yeah, I heard a ding in my ears. I didn't see anything. Anyway, some developments in Austin. It seems that the staging lot is being prepared for operations. Look at the paint pattern and the slots for the car carriers, and spots for Model Y to be staged before loading. Hey, are you sleepy? Her eyes are rolling back. She's sleepy. There appears to be more Model Ys than yesterday, and an employee parking lot is full, capital full. All right. Oh, and we can see that the solar panels are taking shape up on the roof. This is what we see in Fremont, except in Fremont they're angled. You've got the parking for the cars; they all line up in slots to load into the transport, and they all load up and drive off. This is progress, and that would kind of imply to me that they're starting customer deliveries because uh, do you need quite so many trucks if they're all going to employees that work in the factory? They would just at the end of the Friday just go pick up their car, right? Well, at least that's how it was at the party. I don't know how they do the logistics of it for the fact they can't sell cars in Texas. 'Cause I haven't seen anything to indicate that has changed. It's exciting. Whoa, there's a couple empty spots, but yeah, that I would call that full. Yeah. He says you never think about water in a car or battery production. Absolutely. And then that's the other cool thing about that is with the new 4680 process and the dry electrodes that Tesla showed us at Battery Day. With the dry electrodes, you don't even need the water, so it will get to be less consumption over time, not more. So they were freaking out over something that would end up being a non-issue. Yeah. Hmm. She's got one brown eye and one blue eye. uh, this is the water Tesla polluted. Sure. Okay. No, that was me. Sorry, I was leaking it during the cyber radio. My bad. From a gold mine in 2015. What does that have to do with Tesla? All right, fair enough. Yeah, good point. Right, let's move on to the next one. We'll share this tab instead. All right, take notes to Joy Solberg post goes all electric in negative 20-degree weather. So this is direct point at our U.S. Postal Service, which was supposed to be part of the U.S. government's um, Go EV push, and because the guy in charge is from the previous administration and very, very fossil based, they didn't do what they were instructed to do, and so they bought a small percentage of EVs from Oshkosh, and everything else is a gas car. And well, Electrek is pointing out that it didn't have to be that way, because just like we saw with Texas blaming windmills for their problem with their power outage last winter, it wasn't windmills; it was the natural gas. And some of these politicians are just unscrupulous. Let's call it that. All right, so let's see. The Norwegian Postal Service has put into service a 19-ton all-electric delivery truck from Scania on the remote Arctic archipelago of Svalbard, as reported by this news organization. This truck means that the Post's delivery fleet on Svalbard now consists solely of electric vehicles. So now not only are the consumers going all electric in Norway, so has their post office. That is cool. The new truck will service the post office here in the northernmost human settlement of 1,000 people. It has frigid weather year round, and the average low temperature only goes above 0 degrees Celsius in the middle of the summer, and the average high temperatures stay negative from October to May. Oh my goodness, that sounds uncomfortable, doesn't it, baby? Cold weather is also brought up as a hindrance to EV adoption since electric car batteries have reduced performance in winter. But in cold and EV-obsessed Norway, where 83% of new cars were all electric last month, the cold has not slowed down EV adoption at all, even within the Arctic Circle. The country has the fastest in the world uptake of electric vehicles, targeting 2025 end of new gas car sales, which is on trend to meet earlier than anticipated. So they're supposed to have it done in 3 years, and it looks like they're going to have it done next year. That is incredible. Down to negative 20C. Good gracious. I have much respect for you guys being able to put up with that, because that's too cold for me. Mm. All right, let's get some stats on this thing. Their energy is 97% hydroelectric. That's not bad, especially considering that Norway is a net exporter of fossils, oil and gas. And they plan to phase out coal power in 2023. So next year, they're going to be done with their coal power. Perfect. Let's see. As the headline suggests, our take here is that the U.S. Postal Service and the corrupt postmaster DeJoy could learn from the Post in Norge. USPS is currently refreshing their aging delivery fleet, but has given tons of excuses for why they can't go all EV, planning only 20% of next generation delivery vehicles to be electric. USPS's current delivery vehicle, the Grumman LLV, which is older than me, I believe. I think it went into service. No, it's almost as old as me. Was put into service starting in 1987, 35 years ago. This means that the NGDV, if it lasts as long as the LLV did, then the USPS will still have gas guzzlers on the road in 2057, which does not look particularly ambitious compared to Norway's 2030 100% EV goal for in-service delivery vans. And that's assuming that the new vehicle is more reliable than the LLV. For one, the LLV is well past its time it was supposed to have been replaced, but there are numerous postal vans that just catch fire every day, and I don't think I go a month without seeing a Grumman LLV on the back of a tow truck. They're it's time to replace them. And given what we know, we shouldn't be replacing them with fossils. It should be all electric. Let's see. Uh, yes, I agree. I mean, when he got in, our mail service, personally, our personal mail service just got so much worse. And I can only imagine what happened to others. I've heard stories of medication for the veterans being delayed to the point where uh, while it's in the system, it gets destroyed from heat, or it gets delayed so badly that they are running out of meds and they're having to either get emergency reauthorizations to get some at a local pharmacy or to get them shipped via various methods. I had some credentials I had to get delivered for my job that were going through the post office, and instead they ended up uh, then shipping them from FedEx. And then the date the FedEx showed up is when they finally showed up from the postal service. 3 months late. Overall, I mean, I love our mail carrier, but the system itself has fallen apart since that guy got into office. Hey, baby, change arms because you're heavy. All right, she's not that heavy. She was super light. She was born at 6 pounds. All right, move on to the next one because if I read any more about the post office, I'm gonna get mad. All right, close this. And before we get into Elon and Twitter, let's load up some more articles. I could load them all at once, but even this computer seems to freak out at me when I do that. Plus, then I lose the notes. Although, not that I'm really using the notes. At least I know what I'm clicking on. All right. So, after we brought her home, we found out that Elon is actually going to be able to buy Twitter, and we don't plan to talk much about it because it doesn't really fit in with the topics of the show. Yeah, isn't that right, sweetie? But it is going to be a Musk company, but we'll see what becomes of it. I like his idea of getting rid of the bots and like the Russian fake news money, but I think he has a really juvenile idea of unlimited free speech. And as somebody who, other than the jet tracker, he's not targeted like some of these women and LGBT and politicians. There's a lot of folks who are um, endangered by being able to say just everything and anything. I'm curious to see how all that plays out. I don't want to be like some of these people who's like, oh, it's terrible, blah blah blah. It could end up well. I can see how it could end up worse than it is, but I don't. It just seems very very juvenile. Like as somebody who was beat up all the time in South Africa, you would think that he would understand what these bullies can do. And I think he hangs out with some of the memer crew a little too much. Like he doesn't realize that some of the stuff he just flippantly throws out there that he thinks is funny is not. And it's a coin flip as far as how that part goes. But I think that implementing some of the changes he plans to make as far as how the service runs and, like I said, getting rid of the fake accounts and the dark money from the system, as well as maybe, I mean, it's going to stink for everybody to lose their follower count, but when you look at the determination of how many bots there are, like how many just fake accounts doing stuff, I would like to not see all the bots killed because some of them are like news bots or uh, like the plane tracker. I mean, I don't really care about Elon's plane, but there are things like that that are useful that are not human, and as long as they can stay, but like the fake accounts that just come in to argue with you about just random BS, I think that this could be a net positive, but I do think there's going to be a bumpy road if he doesn't listen to, like, say, Twitter safety and the folks like Mr. Anderson who pointed out, hey, you want unlimited free speech? Where do you draw the line? What about your jet? Oh, it doesn't feel good if you have your jet tracked, does it? Well, is he allowed or is he not allowed? And Elon didn't answer the question that I could recall, but you could see on his face he didn't even consider it before it was asked. Uh, Eddie says Elon's doing a little too much these days. Uh, if he were normal, I would tend to agree, but this man, I don't think he likes to sleep because like he's always got his hands all over the place. And somebody made a post that explained how much he did in the same week that he bought Twitter, and like him personally, not just like his companies. And it was a lot. There was like 10 items, 10 large items, and I was like, whoa! I didn't even, I was barely able to get enough sleep that week. And David says Twitter is a poor use of his time at a time when he's needed most at Tesla and SpaceX. And I agree. Depending on how he handles this, Patrick pointed out that he himself pointed out how much time he saves by flying in his jet, and how much half an hour uh, of his time at Tesla has made or lost the company. $100 million. There is something else here, and I want to see it play out, and I'm hoping that it's for the better. But the beauty is that if he does come in and trash the place, eventually we can just go somewhere else. What is that? Are you pooping? Bad dreams? Hey, baby. Yeah. Oh, you ready? Here's some milk. Okay, there we go. Here, get position you so I can hold the bottle and the mouse. Um, so I don't. Yeah, I missed you. Here you go. I don't know how this is going to play out, and I'm really curious, and I hope that people are not harmed by this. And most of the businesses that he gets into, they tend to do better and grow better. So as far as the money is concerned, I'm not worried about that. But whether or not it's still a pleasant place to be as a user, that is my main concern. But at first, if he starts with the bots and starts with the fake accounts and all the money, uh, causing people to lie about stuff, I think that alone would be an immediate net positive. And then the next portion would be, what does he mean by unlimited free speech absolutism? Is he officially a trillionaire yet? I think he touched it. If not, well, I don't think he's there anymore now that Tesla's gone down since this whole Twitter thing. But I think he touched it at one point. New product, mouse bottle. I love it. I love it. Get a little trackball and a grip. Yes. Or you can learn to hold the bottle yourself. You've got those strong arms. She's got strong arms. And the doctors are always saying that they're surprised how well she can hold her head up. Um, don't spit that out. Okay, so next, let's get off of Elon and Twitter because it's not like you guys haven't heard enough of it this week and last week. Yeah? Slow down. All right, so this one got me really excited when I saw the picture. I saw what I was looking at. I was like, hey, that's a Honda EV. And then I read all the stuff around the picture, and I was thoroughly disappointed. Honda NS1 electric SUV goes on sale in China, starting at $27,000. That part I like. It's cheap. Um, the China part was disappointing to me because this tells us it's another Japanese compliance car. Honda and Toyota have all been about this whole hydrogen kick, and they've been avoiding EVs for the longest. They barely did plug-in hybrids, and both of them did proper EVs for China, but only China. And that's the disappointing part right there. They're large legacies that know better, can do better, and have done a good job in the past. And both of them had solid EV programs over 10 years ago. But shoot, it's 20 years now. Oh my goodness. I'm getting old. Uh, in the early 2000s. And it's just disappointing. It's like it's terrible. It's like you've seen them do better, and you can change my analogy right there. It's like you've seen them do better, and then they just continue to disappoint you turn after turn after turn. All right, so let's see what Inside EVs has to say about this thing. Wireless color. So, this isn't the article. There it is. Okay. Starts at 27,000, which I like. It will be available to order from May. That's pretty good. It's identical twin, the Honda ENP1. Why make two cars the same from the same company? It's not like they did the Honda and the Acura or the Chevy and the GMC. Huh. See what they say. 26 grand to 33 grand. That's not a bad spread. Okay. So the Honda has two joint ventures. That's why. The GAC Honda and Dongfeng Honda. I've seen about this before a couple of years ago. So this thing has finally hit the roads, or the markets, I should say. They do have different styling, which was interesting, despite being basically the same company, but they are different joint ventures because they weren't able to pull off what Tesla did and just be able to operate as themselves in the country. They had to, have 50% local buy-in, which is the way that China had done their stuff. So let's see about this thing. I mean, it's attractive. It's not a little punishment mobile. I mean, that's an attractive car. I mean, I'm sure they cheaped out other places to get the price down low, but maybe it's got a smaller battery. Maybe some of the materials are not soft touch like they look. But that's what we needed, something at all price points. Okay. For a second, I didn't notice in that previous screen that this was all the way up. It looked like when they changed here that it grew. It just caught my eye at that point. 15-inch screen is not bad. Also, the orientation of the screen tells me that they were inspired by somebody. My Model S looked just like that, except it was integrated into the dash. Oh, it's got dual screens. My Model S also had that. Buttons everywhere, everywhere. But not too many. The screen has 3 buttons under it. The steering wheel has a lot of buttons. And then you've got the window controls. And then down here. That's not bad. It's not bad. All right. I kind of like that blue color. There we go. Exactly. They stay firmly in the petrol cabal. And when you consider that Honda, Toyota, and all the other Japanese automakers tend to be like conglomerates, they don't just make cars. I'm wondering if that's on purpose. Like, why do they care if we come off of the gasoline paradigm other than they get to save a little time training their customers? But they use dealerships, so who cares how long it takes to train their customers how to plug in the car and where to look for fuel? Something's amiss with that. And then they are the ones who convinced Japan to go on this hydrogen kick. They get so much subsidies for hydrogen, which also keeps up that same paradigm. All right, so Honda's going to renew their showrooms. That explains why the showroom was in the picture. And the NS1 and NP1 are the first of 10 EN series that Honda plans to launch in China by 2027. Each of the two joint ventures will build a new dedicated EV production plant, with both facilities expected to become operational in 2024. So they're making good on their promises. But man, like this is the only other Honda EV I've seen of modern vintage, and it's great in Europe, but it's only in Europe, and it's still very much compliance car-ish. It has a shorter range, and I don't think that all the all the legacy automakers are going to make it. It's that simple. You know what? Let's look at the comments on this thing. There we go. It's basically a better looking Bolt. They don't sell that worldwide because I don't know why, but lack of batteries comes to mind as a possibility. Yeah, because they don't make their own batteries. Mac is selling the the Aeon LX in Europe. This is a smaller platform. Okay, nice looking car. Probably considered too compact for the North American market. Yeah, we do like them big, but it doesn't mean you can't sell them in Europe. It doesn't mean that you can't bring a token amount over to North America. I'm sure there's some Canadians, U.S., and Mexicans that will be interested in taking you up on it. How about South America? They have a little less money overall for cars. They still need cars. Why not? Both Toyota and Honda sell SUVs in North America in large numbers. The demand for small EVs is unmet with the Kona and Neo and Mini EVs. With Honda's reputation for quality, they would do well. I mean, that's the other part I don't understand. It is so easy for them to sell cars. Just slap the Honda badge on it, the Toyota badge, and they tend to do well. So the caption on this one is Adam Browning writes, "World's fifth largest economy." The California ISO, which stands for, I don't know what the ISO is. I thought hovering over their name would expand upon it, but it does not. The California, is it raining? It is indeed raining. That wasn't on the forecast. Uh, in another sign of progress towards the carbon-free power grid, California ISO set a new record of April 3rd, 2022, when 97.6% of the electricity on the grid came from clean, renewable energy. View the full news release here. So we'll do that in a moment. So that was actually pretty cool because we've seen countries in Europe do this. We've seen Germany and the UK do periods of, wow, it's a thunderstorm. We've seen them all do periods of full green power. And so to see a U.S. entity do that is incredible, given our reticence to actually do the right thing. Let's see what the comments are on this before we go read through their notice. Cool, but Californians are not smart enough to be baited by a stat like this. Let us know when CA power generation goes a whole 24 hours without producing CO2. So yeah, that I'm curious how long this was, because just because you touched it doesn't mean that, like he said, that it was all day. See, imagine her salary if they get to 24 hours a day. California is fortunate; its neighbors have electricity generators that can respond rapidly to demand changes as the sun sets on days when Casio brags about regeneration records. Just because the sun goes down doesn't mean you can't have green power. We've seen this with all of the large battery installations, from the ones from LG, from the ones from Tesla, from the ones on people's houses with the distributed power installations. There you go. That's the bright side. Looking at A plus, outstanding work for 97.6 carbon free power. Oh, good gas, good gas. Yeah. Hmm. All right, let's look at this thing. I don't want the picture. I want the article, please. All right, April 3rd at 3:30, briefly at 3:39 p.m. broke the previous record of 96.4% on March 27th, 2022. So they're getting better. Before that, the grid's record for clean power was 94.5% on April 1st, 2021. So each year it's getting better. So I think that if they don't make any other improvements and they go linearly, that would be 100% clean power briefly in 3 more years. Not bad. But I don't think this is going to go linearly because, one, they've got that plant that LG and Tesla are building, and then you've got all the other projects that are going to happen as well. This will happen sooner than we expect, maybe even later this year. All right, so part of it is because they use batteries. Okay. It says type here. You gotta proofread your stuff before you put it out, though. All right then. All right, so this one, just we've been on this now for over a year about how the order backlog has been going for Tesla. So if you order a base Model Y in the U.S., uh, if you order it now, you'll get it in 2023, according to the Tesla configurator. The estimated delivery time can be shorter, but only with paid options added in. So it looks like they're sold out for 2022 for the base model, and pretty soon, as we'll see, as we saw last year, they'll start selling out of everything for the year. Ford has already sold out of the Mustang and F-150 Lightning for the year. It's just the realities of the market we're in right now, with demand being higher than supply. right, so let's see. Really? What are you dreaming about? The Model 3 rear-wheel drive, July to September 2022. Long-range all-wheel drive, July to October 2022. June to August for performance. June to August for the long-range Model S. Or August to November. Oh, sorry, for the Plaid. August to November for the long range with the wheels. So if you don't get the wheels, you're waiting till November. Wow. Model X. Yeah, we already knew the Model X was a show. With 20-inch wheels, so you can tow more. You're looking at 2022 December to March 2023 with some options. 22-inch wheels, you're looking at December to March. And if you get the Plaid, you're looking at October of 2022. It's April. Oh, it's May now. It's beginning of May. My goodness. And there we go. So the Model Y is currently the longest at November 2022 to February 2023. You're moving a lot for somebody who's unconscious. Like swimming or something. Let's look at the comments real quick. Or that Tesla prioritizes orders with the optional wheels. I disagree because their whole thing is they're looking for profit. And you get so much profit off of the minor investment in wheel. Yeah. This guy gets it. What? I don't know what they're trying to say. Am I wrong? Tesla prioritizes production with limited component manufacturing. A line of capacity. Higher priced models means that if you order a higher equipped model, you get it sooner. You don't get them in the sequence you ordered them. It isn't how they manufacture vehicles. Yeah, I mean, it never has been. So that makes sense. That looks like somebody just looking for internet arguments. So this was fun. The UIM E1 announces that the first racing team for the inaugural Electric Boat Championship. That thing looks interesting. So let's take a look. I think I've watched a couple of these, not the whole thing, but I've watched a couple of bits of these races, and they were pretty cool looking. And for them to be electric is awesome because the standards for ocean tech. The Venice racing team will officially be on the starting grid during the inaugural season. You can expect more here. So it's like Formula E on the water. That's cool. Let's give us some specs, please. Like completed the first test in the water. Oh, that's I like this color scheme better. Star Wars style, yes. As we approach the official Racebird season next year, the league has announced the first ever E1 racing team. Why are you punching and kicking me in your sleep, child? All right, let's see. I guess the specs don't matter as much for practicality, but I'm curious, what we'd see in the race. But at the same time, it makes sense for them not to say until we get closer to the races so that their competition can't one-up them. I'll have to look into this and learn more. Anyone else remember Wipeout? Classic game for PlayStation 1 and 2 era. Yeah, that's why I clicked on it in the first place. Actually did DiCaprio pointing at the TV. That's Piranha from Wipeout. Yes. While holding the champagne glass. All right, more fun stuff. The Wiseman Project Thunderball is a 671 horsepower electric roadster, which doesn't sound like a lot in the era of 1,000 horsepower plus EVs, but it's an open top roadster. So let's see what we're working with here. Really? Yeah. Copy this link and paste it here. The German sports maker is back with more of what it used to do, only now fed by electrons. Yes. Electrify all the things. Right, so they have been in business since 1988, and in 2014, where it temporarily shut its doors. That's a long temporary. That's almost 10 years they've been shut. It's returned back by a new investor and is ready to enter the world of EVs, what it calls Project Thunderball. Low volume manufacturer that used to make a retro inspired roadster with BMW power. But for the electric model, there's no connection to BMW anymore, which makes sense because BMW is not a leader in EVs. They're up there, but they're not a leader. For the powertrain and battery, Weissman's teamed up with another German sports manufacturer, Roding Automobile. That's the other cool thing about going EV is you can do it in house like this. 811 foot-pounds of torque of feet, which of feet of torque, which is 1100 newton meters of torque, from two electric motors powering the rear axle. Oh wow! So they're both on the rear. Okay, one for each wheel. This will allow for proper implementation of torque vectoring. Weissman said it should be able to sprint to 62 or 100 kilometers an hour in 2.9 seconds. See, that's what I'm saying. Is with it being a smaller car, it doesn't have to have a thousand horsepower or 1,000 horsepower to be super quick. 2.9 seconds is quite respectable if you find enough traction to make that colossal torque figure count. So that's another thing, though, with it being effectively rear-wheel drive. Will it always be able, or will it be able to consistently deliver those kind of acceleration times? See how much variability you get with the Plaid, and that's all-wheel drive with 3 motors. Let's look at their pictures. It's a blur. It's an attractive car. I mean, this is the kind of thing that a lot of folks say they want, and to be able to get as an EV is nice. As I keep saying, electrify all the things. That's a much better travel picture. The background is blurry, and the car is solid. That first one was a weird choice of a blurry car and a solid background. This is also a weird choice. Let's park the car, get out, and take a picture with it on the road, so you can imagine yourself here. Why not just use a model and then like blur their face or whatever? All right, so you got a nice large touchscreen there. Got an info display there. A couple buttons here and on the control panel. Not too many buttons. If you are into buttons, there are still some EVs out there for you. I just personally don't understand it. It looks well crafted. I wish them well. All right, let's see what anybody else says about this thing. Oh, there it goes. I say nobody said anything, but it jumped. Now that is a beautiful car. I don't see the beauty. The nose is goofy looking. The front engine proportions don't make sense for an EV. Well, that's why there are many different models. Different folks have different tastes. I'm with that guy. The huge bonnet is a waste of space in EV. Makes no sense. It's as if they're stuck on ICE model design-wise. But there are two things that can be said about having a large front area. You can have a large trunk and a larger crash area. And in a car that's designed to be kind of sporty, there's a higher chance of running into stuff. They had to bunch up her outfit. That's some active dreaming, baby. Well, you don't have to wake up. One could argue just put the luggage in the front. Also, sitting on the rear axle is a whole other feeling. This is true. And that is something that a lot of folks like to talk about is just the driving dynamics, the feel. And so being able to give a different one is pretty cool. All right, let's share this instead. Close that tab. Yes, baby. If you want to drink, wake up. Monaco. You having a bad dream, baby? Yeah, it's okay. Well, you can drink it if you push it away. She doesn't have full control of her arms yet. So she's wanting the milk, but she shoved it away. So this one was interesting to me. Skoda resumes production of the Enyaq 4. I'm gonna call it 4 because it's an IV. It may be IV, but I'm calling it 4. Let's go here and take a look. Initially, around 1,000 units can be produced per week. That's pretty good. That's 100,000 units a year if you don't stop for anything. But you're gonna have to stop for stuff. So if they stop for just 2 weeks, which is I think is unrealistic, that's 100,000 vehicles. That's pretty good. That's coming from the Czech Republic. After several weeks of downtime, Skoda has resumed production of the Skoda Enyaq 4. All right. Production stopped due to supply bottlenecks, specifically the cable harnesses from Ukraine, which was invaded by Russia. A similar issue is reported by many other auto manufacturers and plants in Europe. Yeah, we talked about that with Volkswagen and I think BMW. So it makes sense that they were down for so long because Ukraine is a little busy right now. I mean, luxury goods for people that aren't at war, it's a first world problem. I can keep saying Ukraine's got other things on their mind, and rightfully so. All right. Let's see. David says supercars are good to inspire, but little practical movement to make a safe world for Baby Moto. Did I get it right? Motoko. Yep. Yeah, Dan's got it spelled right, like that. Yeah. So my thing is, I might teach her to drive, but my hope is that she'll never have to drive. And from what we're seeing with FSC Beta and with other manufacturers' programs, I think that's going to be her reality. She probably won't have to learn to drive. But then you think back to some movies like what was it? The one with the thought crimes, the precognition, and artificial intelligence. Which one was the one that had that red Audi that they detached and manually drove it? Stuff like that. I'd like her to be able to drive, but not have to. You can't drink and sleep. That's how you choke. Stop it. All right, that's burp. That's burp. Yeah. So I think like you're saying, the sports cars aren't it. This thing like the Skoda is where it's at because that's a good family car right there. Practical. It'll displace a mini SUV or two or large sedan, something burning gas or hybrid. So this is the way to go. Be the first to comment. Nah, I just did. All right, so I loaded it twice for some reason. Let's load up some more articles real quick. These aren't really articles, but points to articles. They're in private groups, so I'll have to chase them down. All right, so I've got some more photos of a police spec Mustang Mach-E. I didn't forget I was burping you. But you're awake now? You can have some more milk now. Big burp. Come on. Ah, it's not a burp. That's a growl. You're lying to me, baby. All right, so let's see. How do I want to load this up? Because it's in a private group. Ah. Oh, that's how. Perfect, perfect, perfect. I got it. Stand by. Got him. All right, so here we can see a Mustang Mach-E loaded up for police duty. You want this? Yeah, I agree, Michael. That is sharp. Now we'll move on to the next angle. Slow down, baby. Got the little emergency lights there. I like that they didn't put a big old light bar on top that isn't aerodynamic. Hey, throw milk at me. Move this hand. Move this hand. There you go. Spit it out. We got one more angle here. Got rear angle. So it does have the lights. It just doesn't have them uh, as a light bar on top, which I think is a smart way to handle it. Okay. And then this one was a surprise to me because it involves Florida Governor Ron DeSantis, a guy who I didn't think could ever do anything that was actually good for the environment or the people or whatever. Look at what he did. Look at what he did. So let's share this tab instead. Florida Governor Ron DeSantis vetoes an awful solar net metering bill. I'm guessing it means that there was no way he could make a profit off of it. So don't stretch. If you stretch onto the floor, mommy's going to kill me. Yeah. Yeah, that's right. So he vetoed this bill, which was from the state's Republican majority House and Senate. It would have slashed the rooftop solar credits in the state, and it would have denied many homeowners net metering in the Sunshine State. So I had mentioned earlier in the year that the Protect the Sunshine bullcrap law was on its way back, and then it tried to pass. Well, last time the Floridian residents they voted against it as it was a ballot measure the last time they did it, and then this time here DeSantis vetoed it while his peers were trying to shove it through and screw over all the Floridians even further than they already are. Uh, so he wrote in his veto letter dated today, as seen below, the state of Florida should not contribute to the financial crunch that our citizens are facing, except making them pick up Disney's tax bill. So let's read his letter. I think I've got that in another post right underneath. I did not. So let's see what we can do about reading this letter. I can click on it. So let's let it load up, get it full screen, and we'll share this tab instead. So, by the authority vested in me as governor of the state of Florida, under the provisions of Article 3, Section 8 of the Constitution of Florida, I hereby veto and transmit my objection to the committee, substitute committee for House Bill 741, CS HB 741, enacted during the 124th session of the legislature of Florida, regular session 2022, entitled "An Act Relating to Net Metering." The legislature passed this bill, which in part authorizes public utilities to impose additional charges to recover lost revenues. They are not losing revenue; they're getting free power to sell to their other customers. To recover lost revenues resulting from residential solar generation that exceeds the public utilities estimates. The amount that may be recovered under this provision is speculative and would be borne by all customers. Given that the United States is experiencing its worst inflation in 40 years and that consumers have seen steep increases in the price of gas and groceries, as well as escalating bills, the state of Florida should not contribute to the financial crunch that our citizens are experiencing. For these reasons, I withhold my approval of the bill 741, and I hereby do veto the same. Signed, Ron DeSantis. Trevor Noah has a great roast of the DeSantis at the White House Correspondents' Dinner. I'm about to watch that because he's a funny dude. Yeah. So, like I was saying, I didn't expect him to do anything right, and I was surprised. Broken clocks and all, and I'm glad to see that somebody is still fighting against the utilities and their greed in the Sunshine State. You should be able to make sun power at your house in the Sunshine State, and to not be able to would be a travesty. So let's see what the comments on this one are. We're getting spicier than that today. Can the governor's veto be overridden based on the number of votes in the House and Senate? That's a very good question, and I hope that they don't overrule him. I sort of like it when someone I don't like does anything I like. It punctures my bubble and makes me, and hopefully all of us, a bit better person. Thanks for the solo veto, Ron DeSantis. Yeah. Solar veto equals unfair utility surcharge veto. Yeah, like I keep saying, my utility in South Carolina, they keep trying to get me to take panels off my house, which is just asinine. And they signed the contract. It's their fault. Solar everywhere is the one thing that makes EVs work. I agree. And having that decentralized, I mean, because you can have the windmills and hydro plants and everything, but that's not something you can do on a personal level. And if you have like a cabin in the woods, you can have your EV running off solar. You can have the batteries to power the cabin, and throw up a Starlink dish, get your internet, capture your rainwater, assuming it's legal where you are, and then have a septic field. Boom, self-sufficient off-grid living. Kind of like all the sci-fi stuff. You got these little like village pods that just they handle their own stuff. I like it. Kind of like The Giver, but without all the murder. The elder side. They don't want you to know this, but their Senate race is closer than ever. Wisconsinites are tired and ready for something new. Okay, cool. So before we get into all the politics stuff, like literally, I only wanted to talk about the fact that I didn't think he would do anything right for the environment because um, it's just not in any of the statements he's ever made that he would do anything right for the environment, even if it was a case of it being a side effect. All right, so next up, we've got this news article. Let's see what happens to it. Good thing I'm on an Apple because it wasn't going to load if I didn't. All right. Welcome to Apple News. Okay, well, load up my article. That's all I wanted. I don't care about your ads. Sorry about that, guys. All right, so I'm going to stop sharing, and we're going to share this application. Screen, window, Apple News. Don't share Apple News links, guys. Share the article. All right, so 16 states and environmental groups have filed lawsuits against the U.S. Postal Service over its gas-powered vehicle plans. So one thing I wanted to do was put this up with the Norway Post article, but having it in the same show is good enough. So let's see. More than a dozen states and several environmental groups have filed lawsuits Thursday against the USPS over its plan to replace existing fleet with 165,000 gas-powered trucks. The USPS has been accused of failing to meet the environmental review standards and missing an opportunity to buy battery electric vehicles. Earlier this year, USPS said it would move forward with a multi-billion-dollar plan to modernize its mail trucks with nearly 90% of its new vehicle fleet made up of gas-powered vehicles. Despite pushes for electric trucks from President Joe Biden and the EPA, neither the President nor the EPA has the authority to stop the independent agency's plan, which is a shame. All right, so then they've got links and stuff. Let's preview their video. I don't know if you can hear the video if I do that, though. It's not even about the stuff. Talking about first gas deliveries being delayed. Let's close this down. We're done with them. Omar's here. Hello, Omar.
Hello, Casey. Hello, everybody out there.
She's a milk drunk.
Oh, adorable.
Yes.
Well, I'm going to apologize in advance in case if you can hear my background, my neighbors, gas-powered lawn equipment as they're doing their yards. They're loud.
Yeah.
Hoping that my mic doesn't pick it up, but it may.
It's
So I
not too bad.
apologize ahead of time. Personally, I use all electric tools, of course, so
Yeah.
I'm not disturbing my neighbors as much as they disturb me.
Yeah. The one that gets me most is the two stroke stuff, the leaf blower and the string trimmer. They're near. Like, come on, just pick a throttle and stick with it. I don't need to hear you rev it up and down. It's like farting in my ear.
Right.
David says hello, Omar.
Hello.
All right, so what do you think about these last couple stories? The post office getting sued for not having enough EVs. Uh, Norway having 100% EVs this year, or on time, I should say, not say this year, next year maybe. And Ron DeSantis is actually doing the right thing and blocking the anti-solar bill.
All right, so let's go a few stories back.
Okay.
I want to go even before that.
Okay.
I want to go down to the police department with the Mach-E. I love
Yeah.
that. I love seeing more and more adoption of electric vehicles, even if it's just a one-off and they're testing they're dipping their toe in the water and they're testing it to see if it works. They're going to
Right.
find that, oh, this really works. This is great. This is viable. And then they can just move forward and slowly replace their fleet, which is excellent, which leads me to the post office.
Yeah.
What is going on? So they should be replacing their fleet.
Yes.
Biden pledged that he was going to have, all of the government vehicles and everything. And I know, post office is kind of quasi government, kind of not. It's weird.
Yeah.
But they should be replacing theirs with EVs as well. Obviously, they already had some kind of order in or whatever with all these gas vehicle replacements.
Right.
Somebody.
But I mean, we saw even the U.S. Embassy in Japan had a couple Model 3s. I mean, if they can do it, what's wrong with the post office? They live in trucks.
The thing about the post office is these vehicles are being used on dedicated routes. They know the routes. They know the length of the routes. When the route is done, it's parked back at home base for an extended period of time. It's the perfect candidate for an electric vehicle.
Right. We saw that postman, the rural postman in, what was it, North Dakota or something. He had a Model S60 way back in the day. And he was doing it in the rural routes. Like again, it's a set route, so he knew he could do it. But like, if they're saying that you can't do this in an urban environment with a dedicated built truck, and he's doing it in a Model S with a mail basket on the side, come on.
Yeah, it's sad that they're not going fully EV, because the thing is they keep these vehicles for an extremely long period of time. So if they buy all gas vehicles now, then that means it's going to be another 25, 30 years before they switch them all over and go EV.
Yeah, and that's assuming they don't all catch fire like the current ones do.
I mean,
I'm sure that's speeding them up.
But the current ones, I mean, look how old some of those are. They
35 years old.
They keep them for an extremely long period of time.
Yeah.
So I'm really, I'm hoping that they change directions. We'll see what happens. I really want to see them, go EV more sooner than later, because we know if it's later, it's going to be a lot later.
Exactly. So what about Mr. DeSantis actually doing the right thing with the solar?
That's got to be by accident.
My theory was there's just no way for him to make money off of it, so he actually protected his citizens.
I think maybe it affects him personally. Maybe he has solar or something, or somebody he knows, or some business that owner, somebody that he's affiliated with, or somebody, one of his donors, or somebody said, hey, that's not good for us, or something. I don't know. It's got to be.
He's looking at his power bill going.
Some kind of hidden catch to it somewhere.
He's looking at his power bill going from $100 a month to $3,000 a month.
Either way, maybe he's just trying to do the right thing. Let's just say he might be just trying to do the right thing.
I hope so.
Either way, no matter how you slice it, it's a good thing that he vetoed it. I'm glad that he did.
Exactly. David also points out that on the Postal Service, it's a lot of low-speed use as well. I mean, you may see them get on the freeway, but they're on the freeway for like an exit or two. And the rest of it is around town, just like the garbage truck. Stop, go, stop, go. And you can hear the mailman and the garbage truck. They just slam the pedal, and then they slam the brake, and they slam the pedal. They slam the brake. So having them as EVs would also stop waking people up as much.
And you know what else? It would save the post office so much money. It would
on
just
brakes alone.
Exactly. Exactly. That's exactly where I was going with it. Just in brake jobs and downtime of the vehicles, it's going to save them a ton of money in that, in the maintenance.
Exactly.
Besides the fuel cost, it's definitely going to save them there, but it's going to save them tons in maintenance.
Yeah. So let's talk about Mary leading. Maybe.
Is she still leading?
it sounds like she's actually trying to earn that title. Let's see. Um, Mary Barra says GM will begin tying its executive compensation to success of its EV targets. This was April 28th.
What?
Yeah.
Really?
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, when you sell less EVs in a quarter than Mazda made of that 100-mile EV, it does look really bad.
Well, I mean, what are they tying? They're tying their bonuses to it. Is that what they're?
Yeah. Yeah. Executive compensation will be contingent upon the automaker reaching specific targets for its transition to electrification. With some bold targets already in place, what better way to get the suits paid than to dangle zero emissions carrot in front of them? All right.
I mean, this is cute, but it's really
Yeah.
only about their bonus. Like, let's
Right.
be honest. The CEOs, you figure they're still going to get paid crazy money, like they always do. They always make crazy amounts of money. So,
What would be cool is if they do like Elon did, and they don't get paid if they don't deliver. I don't know how
that
many
would be more
would work for
effective.
that. Yeah. Yeah. David has a good point. He says this should have happened 2 years ago. Should have tied corporate compensation 2 years ago.
Absolutely.
So in 2020, Barra made a $2 million base salary as a GM chief, plus an additional $13 million in stock awards, bringing her total compensation package to a comparable $23.7 million. I would love to get bonuses greater than my salary.
Right?
What do I got to do to get that?
How can I get a bonus that's 7 times my base salary?
Right, repeatedly. Plenty in play before GM executives get pay. That was a tongue twister, but I like what you did there, Fred. So in 2022 alone, GM has announced a new 50 gigawatt-hour battery facility coming to the U.S. and $7 billion expanding U.S. EV expansion. That's not even mentioning a slew of new electrified. They didn't say electrified, meaning hybrids and plug-ins as well. Vehicles like the Chevy Equinox, Blazer, and even the all-wheel drive Corvette. Oh, and GM plans to steal the crown from Tesla as the top-selling EV by mid-decade. I thought she said she already had it. She led. Barrow said that by that point, GM expects to generate $50 billion from EV sales in North America alone. So how many did they say they want to make to steal this crown? Oh, they didn't say. Because we saw that, who was it? Somebody was skating to the puck where it is and not where it's going to be, thinking they could beat Tesla. I think it was Ford. We were talking about last week. Yeah. We'll see.
We'll see.
I wish them luck, and I think this is a good step. Sounds like there's dissension in the ranks. Some executives may have been pushing for more ICE fees. That's exactly like what happened with Carlos Ghosn. We didn't want to see her get herself into a musical case and leave the country.
Well, you figure they're from the old guard. There's probably a lot of Luddites that are like, no, plug-in hybrids. That's the way to go. Go with
Right.
the hybrids, And so there may be some that are not sold on the idea of EVs yet.
Right. All right, so here's another
But
one.
it's good. At least there's an attempt. I mean, they're trying to make progress, right? So, they're doing things that are going to make some progress towards it. So tell the executives, hey, you want these bonuses? Go make me more EVs. Make it happen. Make it happen, Captain.
Make it happen, Captain. All right, so next up we've got our favorite multi-ton vehicle, the GMC Hummer Ev. Pickup trucks are now selling for $250,000. You know what I just realized? It has 20 less horsepower than a Model S.
Double the price.
Double the price, double the weight. It's slower. It does have four-wheel steering, but the
bigger.
Cybertruck will do that. Yeah, that's true. It is bigger. But because it's bigger, it's slower. It holds more seats, yeah. 1,000 horsepower. Tri-motor, all-wheel drive. Removable panels, and crap walk mode. Is it really tri-motor? I didn't realize that.
You can haul stuff in it.
You can haul some stuff in it. It's got a 4-foot bed. I didn't realize it was tri-motor. Neato. 113 photos. Yeah. You're selling it for that. I want some pictures before I buy it. Wow. Hitting the sweet spot of hype and scarcity. They're sending the price of new units in auction surging to $250,000 per truck. The demand is high for the electric trucks. Virtually every electric pickup program is sold out for years. This is true.
Yeah, because they can't make it. Think about it.
Yeah.
A vehicle that humongous, that heavy.
Yeah.
Humongous battery pack. How many of those things are they really going to be making when batteries are so scarce? They can't make so many of those.
Yeah, because each Hummer EV they make is how many bolts they can't sell, and if the bolt is priced right, then that's lost profit.
Exactly.
I was trying to swim out of my hands.
How big is that battery pack in that?
Over 200 kilowatt hours.
Right. So each Hummer is like
versus 60 for the
each Hummer is like at least 3 bolts.
Yeah.
So
So yeah, like you said, when you already can't get batteries, they have to make a massive profit on that Hummer to make it worth not selling the bolts.
right.
Assuming those bolts are priced correctly. Okay, so they call it a super truck. Sold today at auction at a Texas dealer auction for $255,000. Oh my goodness! So that's sold, not asking. That's sold. It's coming from our electric vehicles. My goodness, what the heck?
Yeah, but think about it though. It's sold at the dealer for that much.
Right. That means they got to then sell.
That means that the dealer made some serious money off of that sale.
The dealer paid Elon's number, $260,420.
How much did the dealer pay the manufacturer for that vehicle though? Probably half.
Not anywhere near that. Yeah,
maybe half of that.
If it retails for 112, I would say that.
Oh, it retails for 112. Okay, so you got to figure the dealer probably paid 100 for it.
Right, 100 at the most.
And they just sold it for
$260,420.
Okay.
Very. I mean, did they have to add the extra 420 on? I think that was like a little Elon fan right there. Let's see. Eddie says y'all cut Mary Bear some slack.
Well, I did. I give her credit. She's trying. She's trying to move forward and make some progress.
Yes.
Convince her executives, look, let's make it happen.
Right. So John McEnroe had a great segment on an old ICE model scar tissue, basically overheard from old ICE designs rather than from the ground up. Yeah, absolutely. They have this habit of just like not doing anything new. They just let's revise and refresh until you retire. Don't rock the boat.
What's up, Dan?
What's up?
So this vehicle originally sold for $112,595. It held only 85 miles. So it's used. It's not even a new car at a weird auction. It's a used car with 85 miles on it.
Well, it's a dealer demo or something.
Whatever it is.
They were using it for test drives and stuff. So it had a few miles on it. But in Texas, that's nothing.
This is true.
85 miles is I mean, that's like going to the corner store and back. Everything's huge in Texas. They're all spread out.
So you had $825 premium over brand new. And you people selling your Model 3s and Model Ys for $200 profits after driving it for a year. That's a reference to Quinn Nelson there. I think you need to step up your game.
Listen, if somebody wants to buy my Model Y for $100,000 more than I paid for it,
Omar said, "I'll get back in line for that."
Sold as of right now.
Right. A fool and his money. Everyone knows it's wiser to invest in fossil fuel company stocks. Good for them.
Aren't those companies becoming energy companies?
Some of them. The ones that are trying not to die.
I'm ordered 2 Cybertruck on accident.
This tab. All right, so this is coming from CNBC, and they're asking, how can the U.S. adapt to EV charging solutions?
Victor Tran loves his electric car.
There's no oil change, no transmission stuff. Like, it's really nice.
The only problem is finding a charger on campus.
But I see he pulled that car out of a garage. I had a garage like that in an apartment once, and I plugged my Volt in there all the time.
Well, wait a minute. He said he has a problem finding a charge on campus.
On
Does
campus.
he live on campus?
It didn't look like it with that garage.
So I'm just saying, like, if we,
And this is UCLA. They should have one on.
it might just be an issue like, oh, you know, it's not as convenient as it could be.
Right.
Not that it's an inconvenience, just that I want it to be even more convenient.
Right.
Okay, I'm sorry. I haven't seen the story, but I'm just speculating here.
UCLA, why wouldn't they have electric charging on?
It probably is, but it might not be near the buildings he's going to. So I pasted the link to this thing in the chat so you can watch it, because it's only 2 minutes long, and I figure if I play the whole thing, NBC might come after me. But the whole point was to bring up discussion on. Are you done with this? She's done with this.
So in this particular story, are they saying that there was no charging, or that there just wasn't enough chargers? Because this is LA. I mean,
Right.
There's probably a lot of people with EVs, so.
There's probably also a case of the reporter doesn't drive an EV and sees that, oh, sometimes you have to wait for a charger, or, oh my goodness, you had to walk an extra block to get a free charge. Oh, that's so inconvenient when I can just go wait 7 minutes at a gas station and do that every day, every week for a year.
It could be that, or it could be that it's not even the opinion of the reporter themselves, but just they're following their marching orders, and they're told, which is to write that type of story.
Like the lady who told you how to save gas in her Mustang Mach-E?
The type of narrative that they don't even believe themselves.
Exactly.
That happens.
Like the lady who was trying to tell us how to save gas in her Mustang Mach-E. Like every shot, she showed the electric car.
Right, and it's like
they cut out the part where she said you can also buy an EV. I mean, there's no other explanation for what she was doing. Like, she had the Acura in the background. She cut the Acura logo off, but everything about the Mustang, you could tell it was a Mustang Mach-E.
Lighten your load. It's not so heavy when you drive your car. I'm like, how you lighten a load? Like, you need to grow.
Well, don't carry so much junk in your trunk.
Hypermile.
Can't help it.
Right.
That's where they were born. Sorry.
She empties out her shopping. Like, it wasn't even like it was just junk in her trunk. She was emptying out her grocery shopping. All right,
if
so
you have kids, there's always junk in the trunk for anything.
Exactly.
Yeah, I'm sure Casey's starting to find that out now.
Yeah. I mean, there's constantly a stroller back there, and that thing is huge. And it's a small one.
There's always going to be something in there. An extra pair of clothes, wipes. Even when you get grown kids, you still need wipes because they still mess up stuff.
We had wipes before we had a kid. That white Model X interior doesn't keep itself clean on its own.
Real quick, that Ford police car.
Yeah.
I think that's a real good thing. When they have to go charge, their presence is going to be really welcome at a charging location.
Especially if it's like in the cut.
Yes, it's going to be real welcoming to see them charge it. Say, here, Panola Road Charger. It's going to be real welcoming. Not that it's a bad area, because nobody messes with anything anyways, because they don't know what a Tesla is. If they do, they don't want that type of smoke.
I did kind of like that at the Kingsford, Kingsland, the South Georgia Supercharger. It's at the police station. So even though the Welcome Center is closed, there's like always uniformed cops just roaming around.
And I still think it being charged at a charging station anywhere is going to be great. They're going to find them Volta chargers, though, and it's going to be really great.
So, Dan, you're kind of low. Your volume's kind of low. I can barely hear you.
All right, give me a sec.
Oh, I turned him down last week because he was too high. Let me turn him back up.
Oh, okay.
I was like, wait a minute.
Try again, Dan.
You can hear me now?
Yeah,
yeah, much better.
Okay.
Yeah, last week you were drowning everybody out, so I turned you down.
But yeah.
All right, Eddie says, I'm surviving quite well with public charging. Yeah, I mean, I did it for, 2 years?
It's
at the
definitely
apartment?
doable.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Let them find out that they can charge at a Volta station.
Oh, please don't.
That whole area going to be secure all the time.
Please don't. Let them pay. I mean, that's what our taxes are going for. I wouldn't want my business subsidizing something I'm already paying for in my taxes.
Yeah. Depends on how to get hit.
All right, so we're talking about the popularity of the Mustang Mach-E, right? We mentioned how it sold out for the year. We mentioned how we're finally starting to see it more and more in the police get-ups like we see for the Model Y and the Model 3. Well, let's take a look at this. The Mustang Mach-E GT is getting a custom look from, I didn't see the name of the tuning house. I mean, that looks aggressive. I like the wheels. Those scoops are a little bit unnecessary since it's an EV. I like that they kind of kept that fake grill from Ford. That part makes sense. Hopefully, they kept out the automatic louvers. That part is much nicer look to me right there. Those are some wide tires. Look at that. It's been doing donuts. Look at that.
I guess we'll talk to our friend Serge and see how it drives, because he'll
See, this
probably have.
this angle looks all right, and it does look like they lowered it too. All right. You don't need a scoop in the frunk. You don't need a scoop, period, because it doesn't breathe, other than cooling.
Is that an actual scoop or is that just a faux scoop? Make it look aggressive.
It's true.
Is that just black, plastic over it or whatever, just make it look like it's a scoop? I don't know.
Could be.
I mean, I like the
this
look.
angle.
I like the
Yeah,
look. I think
they did well.
I really like the look of it.
They did well, yeah. I don't know about all the extra, like, that's old school thing to put all that air in it. You don't need, like, there's a reason why the EVs are taking over at Pikes Peak, because they don't have to worry about breathing at altitude.
But you do have to worry about cooling those battery packs. So
yeah, they made the cooling bigger there, right there.
Yeah, so maybe that's for better cooling. Keep the battery cooler while they're
So that means the Leafs need a scoop then.
The Leaf will be the one could benefit from the scoop. Yes.
I have a tuned-up body, so just put the air past it.
Yep. And we saw how Sandy pointed out their cooling system could use some more optimization, but I don't think it's ramming more air into the radiators the way.
Well, I mean, they might need it because remember, if I'm not
5 second limit.
Ford is the one with the 5 second limit, right?
Yes.
So
yes.
if they want to eliminate that 5 second limit of maximum output, and they want to maybe bump that up, then maybe the extra air for the extra cooling might be the way to go, so they can, Oh yeah, EV Smoke will definitely eat that up.
EV Smoke will eat it up. It looks great though. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It looks great.
After 5 seconds, he's gonna fall back.
Right. Fall back further, you mean?
Exactly.
Because
he's already gonna be behind anyway.
Smoke's got more power than that Hummer. Let's see what we got up on deck next. All right, so Formula E reveals a faster, lighter, and much more angular Gen 3 car ahead of Monaco. Look at that.
Oh.
I mean, like I keep saying, we got to electrify all the things, and racing is one where we waste a lot. There's not as much emissions controls because people are like, oh, it's only one race, blah blah blah. Nah.
I love that their racing game is getting into EVs.
Yes,
that's where a lot of innovation comes from. Like that's how we ended up getting seatbelts. That's how we ended up getting side view mirrors. That's how, like, all the different innovative things, a lot of safety features, all types of stuff comes from the racing. The racing world, and then it translates over to everybody else.
I want to see this so
I want to see them innovate because, I mean, there's big money involved in racing, so they will spend the money to innovate, to figure out more efficient ways of doing it, faster ways, or what have you. So,
especially if doing better means that they can get themselves an edge over the other teams and win.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Just the speed, the torque. You can actually hear all you're gonna need to hear is the tires moving, and that's gonna be a whole different feel rather than hearing the engine and the tire going. If it breaks in the NASCAR,
EV race vehicles.
Let's see.
Yeah, EV race vehicles that is gonna be awesome. Not hearing a whole bunch of that.
Well,
you're not gonna need like gear protection.
There you go. You won't need ear protection, but I haven't seen a quiet EV race vehicle yet.
It's not gonna be quiet. You're still gonna hear like all that tire noise and whatnot.
And the gears, there's no need to make the gears quiet because if your driver starts complaining, oh, it's a little loud at corner 3, you'll get another driver. If soccer mom is running down the road and she says, "Hey, I can't hear my kids ask for juice in the back seat," you're gonna make the car quieter.
You're right. You're not gonna need any noise dampening on race vehicles. You're just trying to lighten them up as much as possible.
Right. Plus, the gears sound like Supertron and futuristic.
Yeah, but they're still nowhere near the decibel level that you're going to have with ice vehicles.
You can have it in the city, and only people who are bothered by it are the people on the track, not 8 blocks down.
Right.
And as you said, you don't need ear protection as much. So the new car has 40% more power. and a 15% higher top speed than Gen 2,
That's a huge improvement.
as well as 60 kilograms of weight savings. Oh my goodness. And more than double the regenerative braking capacity from a new dual motor powertrain. That's right, they were just rear-wheel drive before. I wonder if this is going to be like that sports car we looked at earlier, or if it's going to be all-wheel drive, where both motors are on the rear wheels.
I would bet all-wheel drive because
It's smarter.
you get more traction.
Yeah.
By
Even
putting down
better.
putting the power down to all four wheels instead of just two.
And even better is if the pilot can pick, like on his wheel, if he can pick how much the distribution is. Like, say he's overturning, he can make it front wheel drive and pull out. Or he's going in and he wants it rear wheel drive so he can have it push through. And he's gonna take off on the line, so he goes all wheel drive for the dig. Kind of like on the Model 3 track mode on the fly. That would also add an element of skill, because if you do it wrong or you do it in the wrong place, then somebody who does it better than you with the same power is going to outdrive you.
But I bet a computer could figure that out better than you could on the fly quicker.
Oh, sure.
If you let the computer figure that out.
That would also be a good way to teach the consumer computer, because if you can do it in a racetrack, in the rain or in those conditions, then you can do it on the street at a quarter of the speed.
Easily.
At best, a quarter of the speed. Oh my goodness. 600 kilowatt charging.
Wow.
How
are they doing that?
Very carefully. This may allow the car to stop briefly for a pit stop mid-race to recharge the batteries, but mainly allows the Gen 3 dual motor system to use its full 600 watt system capacity, or kilowatt system capacity for regenerative braking. Yeah, that's true. You don't need to baby it like you do with the Model S and X, where you're coming in for a stop cold and they give you 25 kilowatts of braking. Oh my goodness! Thank you, Zachary. $20 donation through Super Chat. Let's see. Zachary says, "I'm going to watch out later on repeat. Thank you for the great show every week." Absolutely, and thank you for coming through.
Appreciate it.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
All right, so they haven't announced specifics of the mid-race charging yet. I'm wondering if it's going to be like hardwired, or if they're going to have like these massive generators, or like if they'll have like a power pack and solar. That would be awesome, because the power pack, or so not power pack, mega pack already fits on a trailer, and it can already do megawatt charging. So that's perfect. I wonder if each team would need their own mega pack.
I bet you each team would need their own mega pack, because you're pulling in that's a lot of power.
Yeah. Because if it's 600 kilowatts in, how much do you have to do to push it through the resistance in the wire and anything on in the chain to get to the battery? Wow. So 350 kilowatt motor and no friction brakes at all.
What?
Wow. All right.
Oh, that's just for the rear braking.
Either way, that is
no. So they'll have friction brakes for the front.
Right, but
it's not for the rear.
That's like just to hold the car, like in an emergency. Like if you're taking off the brakes, that shows so much confidence in your regen. And also, it's a nice weight savings when you look at how heavy a pair of brakes is.
That also means that you're not starting off any race with a completely full battery, because you got to leave room in the battery pack for that regen.
Right. Because even just to get to the starting block, you have to drive it around, and if your brakes are preheated from that, and you need them like an emergency, they might not be at peak performance. Wow. And the narrower cars means it's easier to fit 2 or 3 cars side by side on the streets or through the corners. And the fact they can make the car smaller means they're obviously using a better battery tech to get more power in a smaller package. So it's a little bit shorter, just a hair shorter. It's a little bit shorter in height. It's 100 millimeters shorter in width. The wheelbase is a little bit shorter. It drops almost 60 kilos, or exactly 60 kilos according to the chart. The maximum power increases from 250 to 350. The regen goes from 250 to 600 kilowatt. Energy recovery goes from 25% to over 40%. So yeah, there's a reason they still have the brakes on the front, because if it's only doing 40%, you still need to bleed that off somewhere. And then the top speed goes from 280 kilometers an hour to 320 kilometers an hour, or 174 to an even 200. And it goes from rear-wheel drive to front rear-wheel drive. So you're right, Omar. It's all-wheel drive.
It makes sense.
Boom. It does make sense. I'm surprised that little sports car isn't doing all-wheel drive, actually. I mean, I know it's a little more complicated, but it's not like the kind of more complicated when you're doing it with a drive shaft and one combustion engine. Or worse, like that Pikes Peak car that had two V8s, one on each axle. I like
that
this.
a little bit.
Where?
That little part where it says about the tires.
Tires.
Right there, the battery just below. The series is recycling linen, carbon fiber.
Oh, wow, yeah.
Yes.
So they're doing the right thing all around.
Yep. They said they're going to take the tires immediately after they're used and start recycling them back in. I was like, that's...
Well, there's no reason to sit them around.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's crazy. Break them down and have them by the next 3 races down. Like, yeah, I remember this tire. It feels well. I just saw that when we was cruising. I was like, that's dope as hell.
Yeah,
so
indeed.
That's pretty good. I like that.
All right, let me mute this. We got one from Microsoft, of all places. You know, I always think it's a little weird when I'm sharing Microsoft stuff on here, but I do it because it's on topic. Let's set sail for cleaner oceans. Clearbot is leading the way to fight against marine pollution. I'm muting it because I don't know where the music is coming from. And they say everything on the screen anyway. All right, so 10,000 metric tons, or is it 10 million metric tons?
Oh, wow.
So you got this little boat with a trailer.
I think it'd be great for
It's powered by AI. It's picking up the garbage. Bada boom, bada bing.
Looks like a smaller version of what's that one?
10 million. Yep.
The recovery drone ships.
It looks like the ones that have the googly eyes on them. Yeah, but this one's autonomous. Those ones are piloted, but it's also smaller. They can pull up
little paddle boats that you sit in the harbor with just going.
Yeah, they got one in Baltimore and Boston, and
yeah,
they got the googly eyes on them.
Listen, they want to clean up the ocean. Go for it.
Exactly, because remember, Microsoft said that their goal was not just to erase all of their carbon emissions ever. They want to go negative, but they want to go so negative that they erase all of their customers' emissions ever. So I am not going to poo-poo them on that. I mean, every little thing they can do to help, they're going to need it, because that's a tall order. When you look at how much power a computer uses just in operation, let alone in cooling, and then just straight up idling, because sometimes it's better just to leave them on than turn them on and off again to get the work done.
I think they're finally figuring out how to resource some of the trash that's there too, trying to pick off the good stuff that's salvageable and use it so they ain't got to buy it.
Actually, yes. Well, remember the last time we talked about Microsoft on this show, they were making a mouse out of ocean trash.
Yeah. So, I mean, rather than buying materials raw or having to deal with supply chain issues, just go get it where it's on sites or anyways, and just
one man's trash is another man's treasure.
Yep.
Racy treasure.
Is this for sale?
Now, since they're using AI and it's completely autonomous and everything like that,
right?
When it does its Windows updates, it has to reboot, right?
It'd be funny if it's just running Linux.
You're just gonna pause completely. Oh, that would be funny if it was running Linux.
Well, I mean, when you think about it, though, Microsoft is the largest single contributor to the Linux Foundation. So,
I mean, if it was running Linux, it would make actually more sense because it would be much more stable.
I don't know about more stable, but it might be able to run on some lower chips. I am
less resources, yeah.
Lifelong race car fan, Formula One. This will help with the development of tech. Absolutely.
Yes.
Blue screen on the wide blue sea. David, a year ago with that one.
I want to see how they shift quickly because all their steering wheel controls are right here. So it's going to be interesting how they do that with an electric.
Well, do they need to shift? It's an EV.
Well, the other buttons that they have, there's a lot of stuff to customize on those steering wheels. I want to.
I mean, they'll still have a crap ton of buttons, but But maybe they'll be able to get by with less of that brain drain. They'll be able to focus on the stuff that's actually technique.
Yeah, they wouldn't have less because they wouldn't have to downshift. There would be no shifting.
Right. Well, it's assuming they don't pull a Porsche and do a 2-speed.
Okay, even if they did a 2-speed, which is really
Toggle
unnecessary,
up down up down.
One, it's only one.
Yeah.
Without going through the whole progression, it's just one.
Yeah.
One decision to make.
Yeah.
Am I straight away or nah? That's what it said.
All right, so let's go back to Twitter and Elon and Tesla and all of that. So Texas welcomes Elon Musk to bring Twitter to the state. I would, if I were Elon, I'd be like, hey, hold that vote we've been waiting on since 2012 on whether or not I can sell my daggum cars there, and then we'll talk.
Right?
Mr. Abbott likes to get up in people's mix. Right there. That's
I mean,
the reason I said it, because he's right there on the screen.
Yeah.
He is a limelight hog, that guy.
They already bought their gigafactory there, which I thought
was foolish.
Was a it's just a missed opportunity on their part.
Right.
I think they could have negotiated harder with them to say, hey, let us sell our cars in your state, and I'll build a factory here in your state where we build them there and sell them there. Like, I can build it here. I can build my cars here, but I can't sell those same cars right here. Like,
right.
To me, that just it's just a missed opportunity.
I seen the tweet. I'm laughing at it.
And then Oklahoma tried to pull a Florida and Disney. They're like, oh, well, since you didn't use this land that we prepared for you guys, now you can't sell cars here. Except that Florida was a lot more effective at it. Then this part was kind of cool. This local rancher says, move Twitter to Swerter, Texas, north of Austin, and we'll give you 100 acres for free.
100 acres of land that's just sitting there that nobody's doing anything with anyway.
Build your headquarters.
We'll give you that.
We'll give it to you.
We'll give you that land for free.
Mm-hmm.
So that way somebody can build something on this land that nobody's doing anything with. So that way we can get tax revenue off of that. So it's a win-win.
Right.
Okay, so this Texas and the car giga thing, it just reminded me of the Rivian issue here in Georgia. It's because they want to say we brought jobs here, but they have no problems to change the rest of it. The pressure has to come from the constituents, as they say, to be like, I need to buy my truck, or I ordered a truck from the place I work and I don't want to go out state to get it. Right. It's going to have to come within those people, because if they just
or have the truck take a 600-mile round trip where it could get rocks and stuff falling up at it.
Yeah, right. So,
I mean, not that it needs paint, but I mean, if you're getting a new truck, you would rather be the one to get the rock chips.
The moment somebody says with enough influence that they want to do it in state and some backing, it will change. I won't say backfire on these states that don't sell electrics in their borders, but it will get changed quickly, especially if their kids are into it.
I don't know.
Because remember, since they have to go through this whole loophole and rigmarole of, export the car outside of the state and then import the car into the state to sell it in state.
Yeah.
Does that mean that the people that live in Texas may be some of the last people to get the Cybertruck when it comes out? Because
absolutely,
be sending them all out of state to all the.
They're all going East Coast, and then the Texas cars will be filled by California. But you see, every 2 years the Texas legislature meets, and every year since 2012, Tesla has been in line to be talked about, and each time they close the session before talking about Tesla. And then Abbott came through talking about abortion, LGBT, guns, and all this other bullcrap on his special session he called them back for, but not Tesla. Brand new.
They could call him back on a special session, if they want to.
But they don't want to.
If they really want to.
He just wants the limelight. He just wants to wheel his chair up and be like, hey, look, I made it easier for you to get guns. Oh, I made it so girls can't take care of something after they get raped. Or, I mean, he's obviously got his priorities, and it's not Tesla other than soaking in the limelight when Tesla is in the good graces. My personal
You're right, Dan. It's the constituents. But guess what?
If the people get together and tell their representative, this is what I need, I'm not going to vote you in again next year until I can buy a car from the factory I just built it in. Then they will listen.
Well,
In 2 years.
here's the other thing.
Yeah.
Keep your eye on this. As more and more companies come to Texas, especially tech companies, and you
Yeah.
have more and more people moving out of California into Texas or
Yeah.
from other areas in the world, and just for those tech jobs and everything, as it attracts more people and more people move there.
Yeah.
The type of people that you're going to get moving there are going to have a different ideology and may put different people in power. So you're going to see a whole dynamic shift going on.
That's why they rejiggered the voting districts before all this happened, because they knew they were going to get diluted.
Right.
And then
Yeah,
they're crafty.
But there's still statewide races like the governor's race.
Yeah.
It's not just
statewide you got.
Statewide.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's just going off of pure numbers at that point.
Exactly.
So you better be careful.
So that's why they made it harder to vote and easier to get your voting registration kicked out.
Well, yeah, that's true.
It's definitely gonna be interesting to see, especially for here in the upcoming elections in Georgia with I forgot his name. It's not worth important, but he approved the Rivian plant on one hand, but I know he's anti-selling in the state, and then Abrams as an opponent. So it depends on how she plays it against him to work it. So that's going to be a live thing to fun to see, and I wonder if it's going to be the same in Texas. So it's really interesting how these states that are un-EV friendly have to become EV friendly because they got the EV in their backyard now. So
right,
it's jobs, as they like to say. So
well, if they know what's good for them, they're not going to poo-poo one of the larger employers in their area.
And we try not to be too political in the show, but
we try.
It does
it's
matter.
easy to
the policies,
it's kind of hard.
You know, the policies that are put in place, it does matter. It does make a difference. Right. So, you know, we do have to discuss it a little bit.
And the crazy thing about it is all the oh, look at the baby. Sorry. All of the plant recycle. Well, here the plant recycle, the battery recycling, SK battery plant, where Rivian's gonna go. These are all areas that need the jobs that will bring that economy up. Everything else, it's a win-win situation. The older people might be up until their kids start working there. The kids can contribute to the bills. It'll change up. It's gonna be fun to see because all these locations are going to the place where they got space to actually develop, and you're gonna bring your houses, taxable income. It's going to work. I just want to see how it plays out now.
Yeah, but like our friend Georgia keeps pointing out, you also have to look at your fellow residents as well. All these people with the NIMBYism, the not in my backyard, I know it's nice to personally have your house value go up, but when you do it to the expense of your city, like Brianna Wu pointed out, that everybody in her town is fighting actually maintaining the school. If your school goes to trash, you're going to lose all the young families that move in, because unless you have really good private schools, there's no reason for them to be there because it's going to be worse off for their progeny. And then slowly but surely your little town will die, like just from not investing in the school.
Yeah, and then there's just seen it in a few places. Major cities will happen.
David says, I believe the anti-democracy movement of the neocons will one day be their downfall. Absolutely. Their party has exploded, 3 times before? You had the Whigs, you had the whatever it was before that, and so the Phoenix Party. So hopefully whatever comes back will be better than ever, and it probably will be based on their history, and it's just going to be a painful process to get there.
Well, they'll eventually reinvent themselves and change up, just like they reinvented themselves and changed to get to where we are now. Because they weren't always here where we're at now. They were very different just, a decade ago. So,
right. So speaking of people taking liberties with you and your property and life, this Toro host discovered his Tesla Model 3 was being taken apart in a warehouse.
I would be hot to death.
Yeah.
I mean, but this is why I don't. This is why I don't rent out my car. I don't Toro it. This is exactly why. Because the only way I would put my vehicle on Toro and rent it out would be if that was a dedicated vehicle just for that. It'd be an investment vehicle that I only bought for that purpose. This is why
This is something I think Toro needs to rein in at this time.
No,
They don't-
I don't even think it's on Turo. Honestly,
No, no,
somebody
no, no,
rents
no.
a car, they're
If people
supposed to
stop
just
putting their cars on the platform because of this reason, because people are Turo's making their cut off of so many EVs being on Turo. If people
Yeah.
bring their EVs off of Turo, then Turo's going to have
Well,
to
not
do
just the
something.
EVs, because imagine if I put my Lamborghini or Bentley or whatever the
Exactly.
it doesn't have to be an EV, whatever the car is that drew them to Turo in the first place. If I pull it out, that makes them less marketable because they're an Airbnb,
Absolutely.
they're an Uber,
Absolutely.
they're not providing the cars. They're just a listing agent. So I had tweeted in response. I said,
But
this
it's not
reminds me.
Turo's fault though that this happened.
Correct.
But Turo's going to change it. Turo's going to make the person who's renting
Well,
it.
they need to. We don't know if they will. They need to.
Well, what they need to do is they need to ban that person from renting on their platform anymore. Like somebody
but then-
does
but then
something like that, they need to get banned completely off their platform. Like you're
But then
done.
the other guy in the shop will just rent the car instead. So,
So
I wrote
what's the solution? How does Turo stop this from happening? That's my thing. How does
A
Turo?
huge fine. A huge fine. You
Oh,
can pay
David-
$50
David has a
fine.
really good point. If it's using the Turo insurance, either by the customer or the host,
Yes.
insurance companies don't play.
Yes.
Yeah, but I mean, so the guy could.
That would be how they stop it.
But here's the thing: the shop, the people at the shop, they took the car apart because they make aftermarket parts and they want to make sure that their parts fit on that vehicle correctly and all that stuff. But then
Right.
they're going to put the car right back together again. The car is going to be just fine. So they.
Well,
So-
you say that, but
So my point is, so what is the? I mean, how does what does the insurance need to do?
Well, when you say it's going to be just fine, remember when was it Daimler or Mercedes tore down that Model X rental? The guy has a point. If they had asked, he might have agreed to some other deal, but clearly this wasn't the trip out of town that they promised him.
Well, right. Obviously, it wasn't authorized. They weren't authorized to do that. Obviously,
Right. But when that German company tore down that Model X, they didn't put it back together correctly. It had problems.
Well, right. And if they put that together wrong and it has issues, all right, then their insurance has to get involved because then that problem has to be corrected.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, and that's gonna
if
be
they
what's
put it
there.
back together correctly, then at that point, their insurance
Which might not want to be
doesn't need to be
exposed to that risk.
doesn't even need to be
'cause
involved in it.
right. But imagine they don't want to be exposed to that risk because somebody borrows that Lamborghini and steals the engine, which brings up one of my later stories. Let me bring that up real quick before we go back and continue this.
However, I mean, it's still illegal to do that. So my point
Is it though? It wasn't illegal for the Germans to do it. So they got away with it. So how much do you think a 6.5 liter V12 Lamborghini Aventador engine costs? Here's the hint. It's probably worth more than your daily driver. That's expected considering it came from a full-blown Italian supercar. So without the core return, which is an additional $5,000, you're looking at $60,000, $65,000 for your Lamborghini engine as a pullout. So let's tie that back into this guy. So if
$60,000.
$65,000,
That's
Mhm.
that's less than a
Okay, so
Tesla
if
right
yeah, but at that
now.
point you're stealing parts. Like if you take that out, you rent a car
right?
and you steal the engine.
Yeah,
You replace that engine with something else, like a regular normal truck engine or something like that. That just something so that it runs.
right.
Right?
We've seen that happen though.
No, this could happen, right?
Yeah, we've seen that happen.
You're still stealing that engine. You just stole
Yes.
that $60,000 item.
Yes.
That's theft at a large scale. That's theft. That's
Yes.
a felony.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. That's grand theft in that case. Yes. Yeah, but say the same thing happened here. Like they brought this Model 3 in and they wanted to test out their aftermarket battery, and the owner had no idea that this was not a trip out of town like the guy promised him. And so they put their original battery pack back in, but at the same time they've damaged the car either with scratches or over voltage or who knows what the case is, or even just
Damaged connector or something. Right. So,
even better, they don't break anything, but now something breaks later, and then Tesla says, "Oh, you took your battery out without us, so your warranty is void." And the guy had no clue.
yeah. Oh yeah. No. 100% they're wrong. They're 100% wrong for
Yeah.
this. Is no matter how you slice it, they're 100% wrong. My
Yeah.
only question is, how does Turo
How's Turo stop
prevent
it?
this from happening? You literally
Very
Turo
delicately.
as a platform has no way of preventing this from happening?
I'm sure their insurance company has some ideas so they're not on the hook. That's why I like David's idea. Like when you go to open a business and you want to get insurance, if you don't have the proper safety place stuff and gear, and it's not required for your industry for like OSHA or whatever, but you want to get your insurance, they might say, all right, well, OSHA says you need this much ventilation, but we want that much ventilation.
Great, but how do they prevent this from happening? What is the solution for this?
Here's the
specific
solution. It's
thing?
their name. It's their name. Every time something happens in a Uber or a Lyft, it gets fixed, especially if there's damage to the person that's either driving or a passenger of it. It gets fixed because
But Dan, what's the
less
solution
you
for
wanna
Toro?
use it, exactly what's going to happen to Turo. The more this name gets out, all your electrics are going to come off of Turo, and they're going to be like,
Yeah, because Toro's going to have to assure you that
I
they are
understand
protecting you.
bad publicity. I understand good publicity. I understand all of that. But how does Toro solve this problem?
They're going to have some way to assure you that your car won't be chop chopped when you take it in with them. And I don't know how they can do that, but they're going to have to figure out something and put it in there. So what should have happened for this guy? He should have said, "Hey, I see you're on Turo. I see you have a Model 3 of the right vintage. We make bumpers for the early Model 3. Can we borrow your car for a weekend? Here's the fee that we're willing to offer you." Instead of being cheap and greedy and just pretending you were renting it to go out of town. So as Omar was saying, they were in the wrong the whole time. But he also has a point that, what can Turo do? I have no idea, but Turo needs to at least address the issue and say, hey, we're looking into this. We don't know what we're going to do to fix it yet.
Right. If he would have asked the guy, say, listen, this is what we want to do. This is our intentions, and gave the guy the option. Let him say, no, I don't want my car to do that. Or sure, but you're going to pay me a certain amount extra. Go ahead, and I don't mind as long as you restore it back to,
or like our friend Sergio. Like there was a company that wanted to make a shock tower braces for him. They said, all right, hey, you've got a GT and a regular. We'd like to make some shock tower braces. Let us borrow your cars for a weekend. Oh, by the way, we'll give you the prototype plus whatever compensation he negotiated with them. So that is the way you handle that.
Then that's fine. Give them the option to say yes or no. Give them the option to negotiate with you and say, and then that's fine. That would be the right way to do it. But they clearly And what's funny is how many other cars have they possibly done this with? Because they make aftermarket parts for different types of cars. So the only reason why this guy found out about them is because his car is a Tesla, and the Tesla told on him and said, "Hey, the front
like, hey, why are you stopping in this warehouse all this time?"
Right? It's like the car, because the car gives you notifications from the app, like, "Hey, this door is left open," or "Hey, the trunk is left open," or "The front trunk is left open," or whatever. And then you go and check on your car, and then you go into Sentry mode, and you can actually view the camera live view of the car and say,
that's what the guy did.
This looks like it's in a shop. Why is the car in a shop? What's going on?
Right. He didn't have Sentry on. So what he did he turned on Sentry and he did live view. And he's like, what the hell?
Right. And then you go and you look at the location and then pull up the GPS exact location of the car and you drive over to where it's at. Like, what's going on with this car? Let me check up on it. That's exactly what happened in this scenario. That's the only reason why he knew, is because his car was a Tesla. Now, if it was any other type of car, he wouldn't. There was no way in the world that he would have been able to even be aware that even occurred.
Exactly. The only other way would be if you had like a Tile or Apple Tracker, or if you had like my GPS, my dash cam has GPS and the LTE modem and all that, so it can do its own thing independent of the car. But how many people have set that up and are paying a monthly subscription for their car to tattle on people?
Exactly. How many people are doing that?
I would wager it's not coming.
So then, even if you had a Tile or something like that on the car, you would just know where it was at. It wouldn't give you any other information. You just
you just know where it's at. Yeah, exactly. But not only that, but with the Tile and the Apple Tag, it's going to say, "Hey, you're being stalked," because you are.
Right.
Yeah. So a lot of folks were complaining that this video didn't seem real. What likely happened is the guy pulled up on some people he doesn't know in a place he doesn't recognize, a nice industrial complex. He doesn't want to be disappeared, and he doesn't want them to do further damage to his vehicle. So he's a little more understanding and polite than any of us would be had the car been on the ground and outside.
In a public location where it's, you can't go disappear.
Right.
Oh no,
So-
I would have called the cops and had the cops meet me there. Like, yeah, come on over here. This is crazy.
Got chopped up in my car.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So let's watch this short video and let's see what you all think about this.
When you let someone rent your car on Turo and they try to
Can I turn the volume of this thing? That was
Loud.
oh,
Yeah, that is kind of
delicious.
loud.
Why are you boosting the volume? Are the kids that deaf? I'm just gonna play it muted, I guess. Yeah, I'm gonna have to because he's got music. I also hate that stupid digital voice. Like, yeah.
I hate that.
Yeah, and that digital voice is always loud. Later found out they have a website that sells Tesla parts and other aftermarket.
Hey, sir, what are you doing to my car?
Excuse me?
What are you doing to my car?
I'm testing something.
You're testing something?
Yeah.
What are you testing?
On the front bumper?
It doesn't look bad. I've seen some ugly aftermarket bumpers on them, all three.
Because it seems like you're replacing some stuff.
So, other folks also pointed out the way he's speaking here. I imagine he's not a car person. Maybe he's never seen a car without the bumper, and maybe he doesn't know what's under the frunk. When you take the frunk out, it might look like some stuff's being replaced, I guess. But
Should I be worried? Should I be calling the cops or?
yeah,
Like, I don't know why you're asking the guy who's taking apart your
Should I
car.
be worried about
Exactly.
this? Should I be calling the cops?
Not. Like, I wouldn't be asking him that.
it's like a passive aggressive threat. I'm going to call the cops. Just say it. I'm going to call the cops.
Right. Just say, listen, I'm about to call the cops. Take whatever you
At
did to
that
my
point-
car, undo everything, have my car ready for me back the way it was.
I agree with Casey on this one. He's in a different location. He only has maybe him and the driver, so there's unknown amount of people.
His girlfriend, yeah.
Yeah, unknown amount of people that can come out. He's already outnumbered walking into that situation. So while you may be 50 degrees hot, you can always just go back and be like, so now that you're in this hole and it's being filmed, what are you going to do to fix it? Because it can escalate and that takes a while. Or you fix it right now. You give me my car back. You give me unlimited life parts.
Run me
whatever
my
it takes,
ish.
it works out. Yeah, run you your money. That's an easy. It's a lot of us would like to say, we choose violence physically, but no.
No, I'm not
He
suggesting that he
walked
should
in about
choose
it.
violence physically. I never suggested that.
Yeah,
But I was
no, I'm
saying
saying most people pop off real quick. Like if that was me, no, it was.
No.
It's
I'm not
just
even
people
suggesting
aggressive.
that. I'm not suggesting that he choose violence. I'm not suggesting that at all. Not physical violence.
Yeah, and then also when you call, it's the paperwork gonna be processed. It's a long process. I'm pretty sure if he can hash out right then and there, they get the legal paperwork. It's done. He's gonna.
I'm
come out
still
with it.
suing them for taking my
I'm
stuff
still
apart without.
yeah, absolutely.
That's a granted too, but there are reasons why you just don't elevate an escalated situation that fast by yourself. That's
And he's not suggesting that anybody do. He's saying call the cops and you show
I'm
up
not
with
saying
them.
that exactly. I'm just saying he should have called the cops.
Yeah.
I mean,
Before he
it's
pulled
good
out,
that
I
he
agree
walked
with that.
in, filmed it, so he got it on. He has it on video, right?
Yeah.
Now that he filmed it, he has it on video. Walk back out. Look, here's what I need you to do. I need you to put my car back together the way you found it. And I'm gonna be taking my car, and you're not gonna have it the whole weekend. Now this whole rental is gonna be canceled, and as soon as you're done, I'm taking my car back.
Yep.
And then walk away. Let them go ahead and work on the car. While they're working on the car, go ahead and call the cops. Listen, I need you to meet me here, this, that, and the other. So you have a report and everything's documented and everything. You have everything. And any legal recourse that can be done at that point can be done. And on top of that, now you have everything you need. Go to your lawyer and sue them. Sue them, sue Turo, sue everybody.
And I think that right there would be what incentivizes Turo to do the right thing. If all of a sudden they're named as a co-party to the suit, they're going to try to make sure that never happens again.
I mean, I would.
Yeah, exactly.
you're winning-
So for those who are on audio only, David said, if Tony Soprano comes out of the shop office, run.
That's another reason why you wait.
Well, I think that was Dan's point earlier, which is
Yeah.
why you don't want to, escalate things to getting
Yeah,
physical.
right.
You don't
Right.
want to do that. You don't want to. You really don't.
And
Tony come
so
out like,
so
what?
with his passivity, the guy being as passive as he is, again, like I said, he might not be a car person to the point where he knows what's going on, and he sounds young, so this might be his first time being taken advantage of like this, so he doesn't know how to address it, and he, like you both said, he's coming up on a group of people. He doesn't know how many people are in there. He's on unfamiliar ground, and another thing that some folks pointed out was, oh, they're wearing masks, so this must be fake. I'm gonna wear a mask if I'm at work. I'm wearing a mask, so I mean,
and it looks like
that proves nothing.
Still probably use a mask.
Exactly.
First of all, you're working in a chop shop, so it's like
that's the other part. If you're sanding stuff, you're gonna wear a mask anyway. That's proper PPE. Like they're sanding and painting, so yeah, you should be wearing a mask regardless. Let alone the medical concern of it all. But
yes, exactly. Sanding, painting, doing all that other stuff, and
I was just reading about a family where
plus you're working in an illegal shop anyway. They're doing illegal stuff anyway to these cars.
I was reading about a family that went to Disney World and they came back and brought the new normal back to grandma and grandpa, and they had the 10 people in the family, and then the father of the group that went to Disney immediately went to work despite being fully symptomatic, untested. He got 100 people at his office sick, and so yeah, I'm wearing my mask if I'm out there. I don't care. Somebody said some comments about me wearing a mask at the bar when we were looking at the Rivian. I'm like, I trust my buddy. I don't trust anybody else in this bar. I don't know anything.
I'm gonna sit away.
I don't know you guys like that, right?
Right. And what was unfortunate was that the microphone dipped out, so it didn't dip out. It didn't turn on. It turned on and immediately turned itself back off because we'd updated the microphones, so they were no longer in record mode. They were only in transmit mode. So to solve that, I'd ordered in before Christmas. I think December 4th or 3rd or 5th or something. I'd ordered these DJI mics that do the same thing, but they have less annoying little behaviors about them than the previous solution does. The Rode Go Mic 2, which I love it, but it cost me like that. It's not like it was a performance where I could go and just, all right, oh guys, we're going for take 7. We're gonna do this again. No, that was a live interview that was just blown. Had I had it plugged straight into the camera and it failed, then I would have had no audio. I would have had to just throw it away. But thankfully, I was able to put a noise filter on it and get some of it back. But the whole point of that was, I wore a mask even during that, but I was thinking it was going to be better quality than what we got. So you'll see me use the DJI mic and probably still also the Go mics going forward. So let's continue watching this kid learn a lesson, a very valuable lesson.
Just testing some parts.
Because I don't think this is allowed when you're renting out a car. You said it was for a trip.
So if you're signing into contracts, you need to read them, know what your rights are, and because you can say, I don't think. You can say, hey, you're violating, even if you don't remember exactly where it is, you can, page 3, section 7, run me my ish.
Yeah, I have a trip. I've gone outside and come back for a test fit.
Well, here's another thing.
For what?
I mean,
For a test fit.
even if you weren't sure, you don't have any papers in front of you to prove or disprove it. So you can always just say it, like, hey, you're definitely not allowed to do any of this when you're renting a car.
Yeah, you can assert it.
You can just tell them that. I mean, just logically, it makes sense that you're not allowed to do that. So you can just say it, even if you're not 100% sure. You just be a little bit more confident in yourself and just say, listen, you're definitely not allowed to do this. I didn't authorize you to do this to my car. So you're certainly not allowed to do this with my car.
Right, which is another reason why I thought the guy was younger and inexperienced, because like statements like that and the way everything is kind of like passive, like he's approaching this older guy. It's like, no, dude, this is your stuff and he's messing with it. Man up.
Right.
Don't hit him.
Don't
hit him.
You shouldn't be doing this, sir. Like this is against the rules and regulations of it.
Oh yeah.
He said, "Oh yeah."
Yeah.
What you gonna do about it?
I told her to call the cops.
Okay.
All right,
so
call them.
I'm gonna have them come here to see what's going on. I'm gonna want my car back today.
Okay, I put it back.
If not, it's gonna be like a bigger charge.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Is there any batteries that you replaced?
No, I didn't replace. I'm just testing the bumper.
Testing the bumpers?
He's like, you stupid kid. You've never seen a bumper before?
He's going.
Yeah,
No, but it's a legit question. Like, you don't know what else they did to it. You see the bumper off, but you don't know if they did anything earlier. Did you do anything earlier to do that? I don't know what you may have done before I got
here. Exactly.
The smart thing about this, I think he's asking the questions to lure the right answers out that he needs if he does go to court. I think he's strategically asking very different questions to see what comes out.
I mean, I can see that from somebody else, but I don't see that from this guy. He doesn't seem to have the experience on that.
Yeah, I don't think he was just being strategic. I think he just was. He was just really stunned by what he found, and really,
right. He's operating from shock,
or he didn't know how to approach that.
Right, he's operating from a position of shock. Like you roll up on this, you might expect to see somebody doing a music video shoot with your car, not ripping it to pieces.
Right.
You need to look at him like.
Why are you taking it out?
I want
Buy your car.
Yeah.
Or you should have let me know. You know, you should have at least let me know so I'm aware of.
That right there, he could have got permission in advance, and this would have like not turned into a big thing. Like now it's going to come out. They could find out, who makes these parts, and they could suffer a business hit for being shady.
I'm pretty sure they already did.
Well, they didn't blast them. So.
Well, they didn't blast them, which I would have.
I sure as hell would have.
What's going on?
I'm sorry.
Nobody buys from this company.
For sure, I'm gonna need this replaced, like back, and I'm gonna need my car today.
Okay, what time?
Okay.
What time? Now.
What do you mean? What time?
Immediately.
Take this off. Put mine back on.
Yes, and give me that. That's mine now. Oh, so Eddie doesn't have his battery yet, but apparently only 62% of the 2017 to 2019 Chevrolet Bolts have had their battery replaced. Eddie's is a 2020, so he's even at the back of this line. The information comes from an NHTSA document that shows replacement rates among newer Bolts. It's far lower, though.
Wow. I thought they were a lot further along than that. Honestly.
I thought so, too. It's the fact that they reopened production. I mean,
especially since they stopped production for a certain amount of time.
Right.
And then they restarted production. I thought, oh, okay. Now that they're restarting production, that means they must have enough packs in stock available to replace everybody's stuff. And I figured that it was just a matter of them distributing it out and actually just doing it. And I thought they were much further along.
Yeah.
This is surprising.
Yeah. I didn't realize there were that many fires. I figured it was like a handful. Like we saw 4 that I knew of. 18 such incidents were officially confirmed and linked to bad batteries. The manufacturer began replacing packs of all affected vehicles from 2017 through 2022 model years. It looks like it's prioritizing older cars first, which makes sense. We saw the same thing happen with the Takata airbags. The older cars were the most dangerous. Well, but again, like Omar, I thought they would have been further along before resuming sales of the new ones. Then
I'm not surprised by it being 18 incidents. I'm actually surprised it wasn't a little bit more. Only because they actually did do a full recall on all these cars. Like, you're not going to do a full recall if it's only like 3 or 4 cars. Like, you may just say, okay, this batch made during this time period, let's just do those.
Yeah.
But I mean, once you start getting like a dozen of them or something like that, and they're spread out, like not all made within the same time period, then yeah, you're gonna do a full recall. So
yeah, I'm curious how many of the South Korean ones lit up for the Kia and the Hyundai, because they follow the exact same roadmap. All right, so just 701 swaps were performed out of a total of 552,414 affected vehicles. Whoa.
Wow.
That's it? From the way they were describing it, it seemed like it was just a defect and that like there would be a lot more that needed it. So 50,413 were affected. I see. So of the 2021 to 2022 models, only 701 slots were performed.
Well, yeah, that makes sense. They're gonna.
That makes perfect sense because they knew there was a problem. Yeah, and they started to stealth fix it. Yeah. Still, hopefully Eddie gets a new battery. I'm rooting for you, buddy. But again, only 62%. Are these people just not showing up? Have the cars been sold already? That is a really low take rate. I would totally be on GM's side if they sent out the notice, they had all the packs ready to go, and Jimmy down the street and Rosie down the way, they didn't come in and get their batteries, that's their problem. I mean, you still are on the hook
Well, I
for
mean,
it,
some people.
but
Okay, so different dealers may be handling it differently.
yeah.
So some dealerships may be.
Oh, it's true. You
Okay,
got dealers involved too. It's not like
okay,
you
yeah,
the
bring your
Rangers.
car in and we'll swap out the battery. We'll do the recall, no problem.
Mhm.
And by the way, this is going to take a few days because we're not as proficient as battery swaps, so we're going to need to have your car a few days. And so while you're out of a car for a few days, here's a loaner car for you.
Yeah.
Some other dealers might be like, yeah, this is going to take a week because we don't know what we're doing, and we got to ship your car over to this other dealership that knows what they're doing and is able to do it. And
Yeah.
by the way, while you're out of a car for a week, nah, we're not giving you a loaner or nothing like that.
You walk.
You're on your own. Now,
Right.
right. So because there's dealerships involved, they're all different and they handle things differently. There may be some people that are like, look, I can't afford to not have a car for a week or whatever while you're swapping this out or whatever.
Yeah, but if it's that, I'm cool. But if it's that they just haven't reached them yet, then I don't know why they resume selling cars.
Yeah, if they don't have the inventory yet of enough battery packs to swap out, then they shouldn't be making new cars without the inventory for all the replacements.
Yeah,
that's just irresponsible.
Hopefully, we get some insight on their next stock call or something, because this seems it doesn't pass the smell test as somebody who has had recalls.
Oh, that's funny. I seen that same sign. Like, scroll back up a little bit, right there where it says no Chevy Bolts.
Yeah. Oh, on your trip, that's right.
Yeah,
You took a cross-country trip.
Our road trip. I've seen a bunch of those in different places.
and this sign costs at least $100 to get printed up.
And they were in a lot of places. You'd be surprised.
Yeah. But again, that's the insurance company pushing that. Like, hey, if you let bolts park in here and something happens, we're not going to pay out.
Yep.
Good to see you too, Lee.
Hey, Lee. Good to see you.
Yeah. Oh, I didn't put it in here, but Ford decided to do a Gigafactory fly-through with the Rouge plant.
Hey, Lee.
Did you guys see it? Do you want to talk about it?
The fly-through?
Yeah, they did a drone fly-through, the same style that we saw at Giga Berlin and Giga Texas.
For Ford?
Ford did, yeah.
Oh, okay. So was
For
this
the
the same one they had? Was this the same one, the presentation where they had the union guy with them?
No, this was for their. Oh, that was the other thing. They had a F-150 Lightning launch. The first deliveries happened this week, and part of it was they had the tour of the factory, and then they had the drive-through, fly-through. I was hoping you guys had seen it. I didn't put it in because it didn't seem all that interesting.
I didn't see
Okay,
a
so if they
fly-through.
had a fly-through, this is what I'm gonna call this the Musk effect.
Exactly what it looked like. Like I saw 3 seconds of it. I'm like, oh, that looks familiar, and I clicked on through.
That's exactly what I did. I didn't see their whole fly through. I was like, I've seen it pop up on my feed, and I was like, oh, okay, that's cute. And then I kept it moving.
It's cute.
It's a Musk effect because Elon has successfully made a plant opening or a premiere an extravagant thing, and it was apparently obvious when Ford did their first delivery part. And while it was a great article to see, I called BS on a lot of parts of that because it's historically the only union that gets supported is police union, for better or worse. Most likely worse than a lot of good times. But at the process of like, hey, here's our union guy. We know both unions are against electric because they think there's less parts being made. And Ford digs into their unions all the time. This country is not union friendly by no means. So to put your guy up here, which is insinuating, hey, we're union friendly too, and Tesla's not. No, don't fake the low key shit like that, because y'all were probably just beefing before COVID about taking away certain union things, because that's what companies do to get their bottom line out the way. So it was, well, the thing was cute. I liked it. It's the presentation that the underlying keys. Why is a union person there? If you dig into it, you'd be like, oh, this is why the union person there is. Elon doesn't want to use unions. No, he wants to. He just doesn't want to.
This event was for the new owners of the F-150 Lightning. They waited in line. They got their reservation. It was delivered. So I don't really think it was about the unions here. It was a delivery event. Same as we saw with the.
It was the president of the union person. It was the union president was in present for it.
He was handing out the keys.
What is he needed for? Is the thing. The union president for Ford is.
They're everywhere. They got their tentacles and everything, so I can get they would be there if they were at the delivery event. But like my Volts, both my Volts had a little sticker on the driver's door said manufactured by in Michigan at this plant by the union number, whatever the union was.
Exactly my point. That I can understand, but just to have your union guy be like, "Yeah, we made that." No, we have to dig into this.
Well, I mean, at the same time, you look at the cyber event. All the Tesla employees were there. I don't see anything wrong with that.
The employees are different. The union that
the employees are union.
Try to get better rates.
That's employees, right? The union is employees.
Ford and Union have a history. Well, Ford and unions have this history like this. They do. Most companies and unions is going to have beef, and we're going to start with Starbucks and Amazon coming up.
Well, these are just the ones that are trying to union bust. Like Ford stuck with the union.
I agree with David. I'm glad to see Ford at least trying. They're trying. Yes. They're chasing the leader, and they're trying.
Yes, and they don't make any they don't pull any punches about it either. Like, hey, we know we're not number one. We're gunning for them. We're coming, baby.
Right. I appreciate that. And hey, listen, I give Ford their props. They got that Ford F-150 Lightning out before the Cybertruck came out. So bravo to them. They got that pickup truck out there.
That's another shady thing they did.
I mean, but that's what they do.
I mean, that's not shady. Elon Musk should have this truck out 3 years ago. That's on them.
I'm sorry, not shady.
Right. Listen, Tesla's delay on getting their Cybertruck out, that's on Tesla. That's not on Ford.
No, I'm talking about the way he said it. Like, we got our truck out before other people.
Well, I mean, if you didn't open yourself up to that punch, you wouldn't have taken it. They got it. They deserved it. All right, so this one is coming from Drive Tesla Canada. They're talking about updated photo. So what they've done is Tesla's added surveillance cameras to the non-Tesla supercharger pilot station in Norway to monitor third-party EVs charging. And that's coming from Drive Tesla Canada, who's updated their article with pictures of the surveillance camera. A picture of a picture. All right, so let's see here. So we talked about this program. So we were wondering, how are they going to enforce and improve upon this trial aside from just looking at the numbers coming from the supercharger computer? Well, now they've got video data, so they can train the AI. They can just have whoever's in charge of the program look and say, hey, we have this many cars blocking spaces, this many cars with the charge port in the wrong location, or, it was this successful because, 9,000 sessions happened without an incident, or whatever the case may be.
I think they're going to have to orient the.
If they make them all pull-throughs, I think that'd be a start.
Start making the cables longer, or
that too.
They're going to have to do something because of all these vehicles with charge ports in different locations on the vehicle. I can see that just causing problems when one car ends up taking up basically spots for two superchargers because the charge ports are in the wrong location.
Or one spot, but it's also blocking another one because it has on the wrong side of the car.
Right.
But like you said, most of them are going to be multiple spots at a time because of the way they're set up. So one way they can do that is they can ask you what you're going to be plugging in when you sign up for the program, and say, "Oh no, that's not allowed. We don't allow Nissan Leafs because there's things in the front and we're in the back." Because that probably wouldn't work. Because one, the Leaf isn't CCS, but two, they could just drive in instead of reverse in. But there's somewhere it just does not work regardless. So the notice goes on to say the footage will be used to help inform Tesla if there are any areas that could be improved, as I was suggesting. Wow, this is nice. It's like a laser cut plaque. Yeah, this is a supercharger pilot site for third-party vehicles. Telling you why they do it, what they're collecting. They give you a QR code you can scan, so you get a privacy notice. You really got to have your privacy notices if you're recording stuff in Europe. All right, so as of 139 update, there's some photos of the actual cameras installed at the station. Just regular IP cameras, it looks like. All right. I think this is the right way to go because a lot of people, stuff like this, for one, and then a lot of people are concerned about what happens when you bring this to California. California already has enough competition for superchargers with just the Teslas. And then some people are a little more magnanimous where they, like, hey, you can charge here. But then when you see this, like he did the right thing. He's not blocking a Tesla spot. Like that next spot is just two regular car spots. But he's taking up 3 spots for one car.
Still, he's...
But imagine if he took 3 Tesla spots. Somebody would bring out the fists in California on that.
Well, you know what? The spot that he really needed was the spot on the other end, the far other end, he needed a spot next to.
Is the cable long enough?
The Tesla supercharger spot.
This would be perfect right here if he's not blocking the driveway too bad.
Yeah, that one would have worked
right over there.
But like, so like
that last one, he'd have to park in the bushes.
You look at those spots that pull in this way.
Yeah.
Right. If he would have parked on the one that's all the way on the one side,
right?
And, instead of parking in the spot, we'll park the spot next to the spot.
But that's assuming that it's not a corner piece and that there's a spot next to
it.
If
it's not a corner piece, and if there was a spot next to it, like that would have the spot that he really needed. I'm not saying that was available. I'm just saying that's the spot that he really needed.
He'd still be way up in the bushes, though, when you look at how far back his charge port is.
And then the other thing is the cable long enough?
But if they make the cables longer, there's more chance of people wanting to steal the copper. There's more chance of people just leaving it on the ground and getting it damaged. Because right now, they do get left on the ground or fall to the ground, but they're so short that there's less chance of them getting messed up.
There's less chance of them getting ran over or something, because they're so short.
But this like they tell you when you sign up for the program, they say, if you have to do this, don't. Sorry, we want your business, but we don't want it that bad. Clearly, this guy didn't follow the rules, and I understand the appeal. Like, the superchargers are everywhere.
Well, I mean, fortunately, there's nobody around there, right? So it's like
right. I mean, I'm not like,
but at least at least there's nobody there.
Yeah, I'm not pooping on him. I get why he did it, and he's not hurting anybody. But try that in California right now at a travel time. He's going to get assaulted.
This is a time where I think, and correct me,
like this right here is good. This one here is good. I think he's probably using the wrong one, most likely. But again, he's only using one spot.
Well, yeah, he's using the wrong one because his
it should be
this one. Spot. But
yeah, he's using this one.
But his charge port is on the wrong spot. So now he's basically blocking two superchargers to charge one vehicle.
Right.
But okay, so correct me if I'm wrong. Doesn't two superchargers off the same power thing like
this? Not V3s. V3s are 4 of them off of one, and they don't power share.
Okay.
Yeah, so right here is this 2x supercharging blocking okay with people. So he's pointed out the exact problem that Omar was pointing out. That is 2 stations down. And that's going to cost Tesla. So they really need to think out their layout a little bit better if they don't want to make longer cables. Like if they were pull-throughs, that wouldn't be an issue. He could drive in backwards and use the correct station. He'd be facing the wrong way, but that's on him.
Is okay, correct me if I'm wrong. Is Tesla charging for those without unlimited supercharging? Is it cheaper than say EA or any other charging station? Okay.
Yes.
So
and if you subscribe to the monthly plan, then Tesla will charge you the same price they charge Tesla customers. If you don't subscribe to the monthly plan, they will charge extra. But if you're just going on one family trip once a year, that would still be cheaper.
And paying the extra is no big deal.
Right. But if you're going on
across the country, it's comparable to the other brands, the other third-party.
Still
brands.
cheaper.
So
from what I see, it's still cheaper. But if you're going on a long trip, you need 20 supercharger stops, and you're gonna do it in 3 days. It might be cheaper for you to just give them the $20 for the 1 month membership, and you'd have to do the math.
Pay the lower fee, yeah.
Yeah.
Because either way, there's still the price difference is still dirtball cheap between like, hey, you can use our gas now, like 98 to 83. Like to me, it's like, okay, play the numbers and go to somewhere else. Charge. I understand that the squabble of having exclusivity and exclusivity is not there no more. But I don't think it's just. I still see them producing more chargers to combat this too, and X, Y, and Z.
So speaking of road trips, Lee brings up a good question. Do we travel with a spare tire on road trips? I don't. I've got an expired can of goo.
I do, depending on how far the trip is.
Yeah, I need to, but I don't.
If it's a really far trip, like I'm driving down from New Jersey to Florida, or from New Jersey to California, or whatever, I want a spare tire with me because you just never know, something can happen on the road, and you don't want to be stuck for an extended period of time. Yeah. So I got my spare tire from Modern Spare. We're not sponsored by them or anything, but that's where I bought it.
Hey, if you want, give us a call, Modern Spare.
And so I do keep a spare tire with me. Now, in my old car, my old Model S, the front trunk was so humongous that I kept
a whole tire,
full-size spare tire that I bought from Tesla.
Yeah.
Full-size rim and everything tire, and I kept it in the front. And I kept that with me, almost all the time. But now with this little mini front trunk that I have in the Model Y, I can't do that. So that's why I pick and choose when I take the spare tire with me, because it does take up a amount
One
of space
suitcase.
in the
Yeah.
trunk. It's
Yeah.
at
One less
that point
suitcase
it's a
you can bring.
space issue.
Yeah.
Yes,
So
yes, Modern Spare. It's if you just Google it, it's a
the name of the company.
They sell
Yeah.
spare tires for vehicles. They actually have a little kit. It's actually the spare tire plus a jack plus a little thing to jack it up
Nice.
with and all that. And it's all in one kit and a whole cover for the tire and everything that you can put everything inside of it.
Not bad. So David says I have a tire repair kit, but it doesn't solve everything. Yeah, I've got the tire repair kit, and I need to get
And I
the
have the
goo
tire
replaced.
repair kit as well. I
Yeah.
actually have the I have a not just the goop, but I also have a little thing that you with the
Plug.
that you can plug the plug
plug
kit.
kit.
You can plug your own, and I keep a compressor and all that. So if it's a type of repair that I can do real quickly like that, I would do that first. But if you get a sidewall puncture or something like that, a full blowout or anything that's not repairable, it's great to have a spare with you.
Yeah, Dan's got a full size spare, right?
Most of them do. Yeah. Even my
No. You personally, most cars
Oh,
today don't come with a spare.
Yeah. That
Yeah.
surprised me too. A lot of cars don't come with a spare.
It saves with gas mileage.
Well, car
Or
manufacturers
equivalent.
realize that number one, they save a little bit of weight, so it
Mhm.
saves a little bit of the efficiency, so they can boost their numbers and post their numbers. But number two, they realize they save a few dollars. Now, granted, it's not a ton of money because you're a car manufacturer and economies of scale, right? But if you're saving even if
$5
it's
per car.
$25 a car,
Yep.
and you're making 1 million cars, that's $25 million right there you just saved. So that's every little bit adds up, and so it's money, and they all figured that out, and so they'll include in. I think a wheel and a tire is probably more than $25 at this point, even with economies of scale.
Yeah.
So they might be saving $50. So instead, they'll give you a little $10 can of goop.
Yeah.
You know,
In fact, in Maryland, it's required by law.
$6 can of goop. Like, here you go.
Yeah. Yeah. So let's see. David pointed out that the supercharging is better than third-party charging from his Leaf days before 2018. Absolutely, I agree. I'd used third-party charging on my Model S before superchargers came to town after I left. And you have a tire repair kit, but it doesn't solve everything. That's correct. Yeah. The other thing that the manufacturers want to point out, I'm sure this is not the reason they're doing it, but you're less likely to get struck on the side of the road if you don't have a spare, because you won't get out because there's no stuff. And it's true. I just don't necessarily believe that was actually any part of their motivation. And then Lee asked if anyone got their car serviced or the repair kit from Tesla. You can get the repair kit from Tesla, or you can get it from anybody, really. Like, mine came with my Chevy Volt. I had an extra one.
I bought mine on Amazon.
Yep.
But now, as far as getting my car serviced, my old Model S that I got that thing serviced a ton of times with different issues that I've had over the years. My newest car, the Model Y, I've only had it for a year, and although I put 20,000 miles on it so far, actually less than a year, and although I put 20,000 miles on it so far, it hasn't needed anything. I have gotten the tires rotated, but I get that done at my local tire shop here, and I also had one of my cameras. I had an issue with one of my side cameras, and I had Tesla Mobile come out to me, and they did it right in the parking lot while I was at work, and so I wasn't even inconvenienced at all.
Yeah, I've done most of my services mobile. They did the rear camera, the driver's camera. I had to bring it in for the air conditioner twice, 4 times, and the cable for that camera, one of the cameras they replaced was bad, so they did that one in the shop, because to get to that particular camera cable, you had to replace the whole interior of the car, or you peel it all back, deal with the cable, then put it back in place. I had the shutter issue twice with the Model X and once with the Model S. They didn't believe me because at the time nobody thought it happened to the Model S. I got a new seat for the Model S, 6 door handles. Most of the stuff was mobile, though. How many door handles did you go through, Omar? Any?
I went through 4.
Oh, okay.
And yeah, it was mobile service that when I did the door handles.
Yeah, the only time I didn't do mobile service in the beginning was when it was so many dollars a mile and $100 to show up, and then they dropped the per mile charge, and so I paid the $100 because it was better for me than the 8-hour round trip, and then they came up with free mobile, and that's when I started being a mobile service person. And so, yeah, now it's odd for me to actually go into the shop, but if it's high voltage and they don't have like, sometimes they'll have like the spotters, not spotters, but like the trainees, like they learn in the routes and everything. So if they've got somebody with them, they can do high voltage.
So in the very beginning, I used to go to the shop.
Yeah.
For my car, and I took it in quite a few times. And what's funny is they used to give me a loaner. Back then, it was always better than the car that I had.
Yeah.
Because I guess they're trying to get you to upgrade. I don't know.
That was the policy, yeah, because Elon wanted you to say, hey, get the stuff in my glove box. I'm keeping this one.
Exactly. But yeah, that it didn't work. I never upgraded based off of that. But it was nice to experience the newer ones and see the changes over time and how much, the quality changed and everything else. Like, how the cabin got quieter and then experience autopilot. And mine was pre-autopilot car and everything that came with it.
Yeah. So, yeah, so the mobile service is great. I do recommend it. And it hasn't had that quality dip and slow struggle to return to where they were that the regular service has. Like mobile service has always been on point. So,
the only thing that has changed with mobile service though is just the amount of time in getting the appointment. Like they started scheduling out, like because
it used to be the next week, and now it's like a month later sometimes.
Yeah, so it. Just the scheduling has gotten, they need some improvement there.
Yeah.
But it's just a matter of they just don't have enough people to handle the volume that they have now.
Yeah. Elise says, what about replacing the vents? Yeah, they can replace the vents. And anything where they don't have high voltage or fluids that have an environmental component, so they're not allowed to do the air conditioner most of the time or the brake fluid. But if it doesn't have an environmental fluid or have to pick the car up or high voltage, then and when I say pick the car up, I mean lift the entire car up, because they can actually do your tire rotations mobile as well. It used to be $35 in some places, $50 in others. It looks like they've standardized on $50 for the rotation for the nation. And then David is asking if I'm still planning on a lithium-ion battery replacement video. Yes, I recorded it, and then Motoco showed up, and so we'll see. Like I said, I haven't even played the footage back to see how much was salvageable, because there was a shooting in the area at the time I was recording, and so there were a lot of police and stuff roaming around, so I'm not sure how that video will be cut, but I do want to share it and get it out there, because it also has a nice discount code for the OMU battery. I think the code is still down here, but I'd still like to do the video. It'd be fun. And scheduling through the app, absolutely. So you go into your Tesla app, you scroll up to service, boop, you tell them what's wrong, and they'll go. If you already have a notification popped in the car, like low voltage battery or whatever, it will often preload that message into why you're scheduling service, and that saves you a little bit of typing, which is nice.
But yeah, you definitely schedule it through the app, and they'll usually contact you back through the app with a message, and you can kind of message them back about it, like if they need more information or something like that, or
yeah, they're pretty good about it.
Or if whatever the date that you pick in the app, because the app will let you pick a certain date or whatever, if that has to change or whatever, they'll contact you directly through the app and let you know. And usually, at least with my experience, I've seen sometimes where I'll schedule it through the app and it'll be like 3 weeks out, and they'll be like, oh yeah, well, we can get you in sooner. And I'll be like, okay, great.
Yep. So this one's coming from Robert William, and he sent us this article, among a few others, but this one I picked. Is it cheaper to boil water in the microwave? Best time to ditch the kettle to save money. And I didn't watch the video, but I did read the article. Music. So,
basically, I don't know if it's cheaper, but it's quicker, right?
It's quicker and cheaper. So it's 12 pence on a 240 kettle to boil the water in 3 minutes, but it's 1 pence to microwave the water for 1 cup in 1 minute. So basically, as long as you don't need the full kettle, you're saving money on the microwave and time.
Well, there you go.
12.5 pence to use a 3 kilowatt kettle for 10 minutes. If you're using a kettle to fill one average size cup, it'll only take around 1 minute to cook it to boil, costing just a little over 1 pence. Yeah.
Well, next time you make tea, there you go. Microwave your water.
Yep. Definitely don't use a gas stove, because we've talked about this.
Yeah, it's bad for your air quality in your house.
Even if you don't turn it on, but worse once you turn it on. All right. So another Microsoft-based article for. Who would ever expect it? I still don't. It surprises me every time. So Microsoft delivers promised study revealing device repair reduces waste, climate emissions. So go figure. Fixing stuff instead of buying new stuff would be better for the planet. But Microsoft Microsoft promised that they would get an independent study done on this. Like they'd pay for it, but that they give you the results no matter what. And so the results finally came in. It is cheaper to repair your stuff than to replace it.
Which is exactly what you would expect.
Exactly. I don't know why they needed a study to tell them this. But I do kind of like the fact that they went through the whole scientific method to make sure, is our assumption accurate?
So now they have, scientific evidence as opposed to just the anecdotal evidence that, yes, it's better for the environment to just, repair.
Wow. Partnership with iFixit, really? It's amazing because iFixit always rates Microsoft and Apple really poor on their repairability scores. So you can tell they weren't being favoritist when they picked.
Well, they purposely don't make their stuff easy to repair. I mean,
yeah,
they want you to buy new stuff.
Right, but as we've seen, there's that Linux phone that has a replaceable battery and all the parts are replaceable, and then there's the what do they call that laptop now? The one where everything's got a QR code on it. Even if you don't know anything about working in laptops, they've got the instructions where you can scan it with your phone. Here's how you replace the motherboard. Oh, you don't know how to do RAM? Here's how to put your RAM chips in. And like is it essential? No, I don't think it's essential laptop. But either way, there's a laptop with that same concept where everything can be repaired. And here's a Microsoft repair video. Okay, Microsoft, are you trying to cause me trouble here?
Colin Ravenscroft, and I.
Oh, different music. Oh, come on. Either way, so for some items, they do give you stuff to repair, but not as much as one would expect. And in fact, I didn't even bring this up. Apple has a new program now to repair iPhones. They'll even rent you the equipment so you can do it professionally, do it the way that they do it in the factory, rather than in the factory or the Genius Bar or at the authorized third-party shop. And Quinn did a article on that one over at Snazzy Labs about how it actually is a really decent deal compared to, for some items. Obviously, for screens, it's going to be way quicker, and you don't assume any liability if you break the parts, if you do the screen at the Apple Store. But for stuff like the speakers or the vibration motor, it's still cheaper if you do it yourself, if you know what you're doing, and if you feel comfortable reading the documentation. And if you use their tools, like he mentioned that, they are. You get the tools for like 4 days or a week or something, and they're heavy, and the shipping is paid both ways. So he's saying that they probably don't even make any money on that. But if you want to do this a lot and you don't want to become an Apple repair shop, you can actually buy the tools for under $1,000, which is well below what they should cost, which is pretty cool.
It is pretty cool.
Yeah. So let's see. Let's copy this. And then let's see what the comment is here. Gotta run. Good show, guys. Sweet dreams, Motoko. She's sleeping, so hopefully she heard. All right, we'll see you next time, David. Thank you for stopping through.
Take care, David. Thanks for joining us.
Absolutely. And all right, so Dan brought this one up to us. So this is back on the Hummer kick. He points out that a GM Hummer EV1 edition or EV Edition 1. Oh, I see what they did there. Do you really want to bring up the EV1, GM?
Our buddy Sergio brought this up, but I'm surprised it never got covered here. because I have the follow-up article for it.
Okay. Bring
Yeah,
that too.
did they really want to bring up the
It's
EV
in there.
one?
It's in the chat.
You really want
Okay.
to open up that old wound?
Yeah, I
It
don't
has a
think
solution, guys.
I don't think that they want to bring up the EV1. I mean, yeah, it's a warm fuzzy, but from them, they're the ones who crushed it.
Right.
All right, so
It literally crushed
Right.
it.
into pieces. So GM Hummer EV1 hit with markup. I did it again. So this Hummer EV buyer was excited to pick up his car, but instead he got to the dealer and they're talking about a 50 grand markup to the vehicle at the last minute. It's the same thing we heard about with a bunch of the Fords. Not 50, but still ridiculous when you get there. There are ways around it, like picking a dealer that's not a piece of crap. And why don't you explain this, Dan? I haven't read this article. I don't know nothing about it.
So this one, our buddy Sergio posted, and he's one against markups for everything. This was a 50K markup. This was done back in March for this initial article, and it was ridiculous. What they had here was a sale clause. They have to accept it. I forgot what that paperwork is. We have to accept the cost of what the dealer is going to give you, or something like that. So he had to sign that paperwork. It wasn't saying the exact cost about it, but he felt like he couldn't get out of this contractual deal, and it got traction.
Just like the unscrupulous Ford dealers, they'd say, "Oh, we'll tell GM you canceled it. We'll keep the truck and
yes,
have a nice day."
Exactly that, the exact same thing. But like 2 months later, 3 months later, I came across the same people, the GM Authority. They updated this article.
Okay, tell us more.
Other link I sent you. It was interesting because they ended up fixing it, I believe.
How do they fix it? Let's see.
So what did they do? Just honor the original contract that he originally signed and just sell them the vehicle for the original price that they originally agreed on? Or did they come to some type of compromise? Like,
they came to an agreement over the right to first refusal.
Oh, this is the guy who made the joke about how he was going to flip it. He's like, how much do you want to buy it for?
Yep. So they actually came to a difference. A lot of people got involved with the legality.
So I ended up skipping this one. I know what you're talking about. I ended up skipping this one because it was just a matter of dealers rather than having anything to do with GM.
I'm sorry, yeah.
No, it's okay. I mean, just because I didn't think it was interesting doesn't mean that nobody else would think it was interesting. And you're right.
It's just quickly got resolved. Is the weird
but I mean,
part,
it kind of leads to the point of that antiquated dealership model. It
exposes you.
I mean,
yeah.
It's the middleman.
So wrong.
It's the middleman, and that's not always what's best for consumers.
Exactly. I mean, it can work, but it doesn't always. So the other Omar is pointing out that General Motors awarded CEO Mary Barra $29.1 million in total compensation in 2021. That's up 23% from 2020. It also happens to be $1 million for every EV delivered. Mary led, all right. If I could get $1 million for each EV delivered, man. Imagine if Elon could get $1 million for each EV delivered.
And put that back in an introduction.
Well, I mean, wait, how many billions does Elon have?
Did they?
Did he get $1 million for each?
The funny thing is about this, what we're looking at, Elon, he just single-handedly. I'm sorry, I got lost looking at this picture.
Oh, they wound back my like. Elon didn't like that. I thought it was only Tesla shareholders who cried over their CEOs. Oh, they're rolling back my likes again.
This is one of those things where I think it'd be funny if Elon did something crazy like promote all of the EVs first on one side of the actual ads for Twitter, just because he's childish in that manner, and it'd be interesting. In a random note.
Maybe. So our friends at Drive Tesla Canada are pointing out that the government of Canada is going to install 50 level 2 chargers in Ontario. I mean, more is better than none. A level 2 is good if you're going to be there a while. And don't look a gift horse in the mouth, but I think it should be more, and they should be level 3s.
Would these level 2s be near places?
I'm looking now. The Electra Energy Service is going to install 50 level 2s across St. Catharines, Barry, and Markham, providing more than $710,000 for project costs. This sounds like that case in Texas where Tesla lost the bid despite being the least expensive option, and they went with the most expensive option. I mean, these numbers are incredible. Even though they're in loonies, they're still high. I mean, because level 2 stations are not that expensive, nor is the labor to put them in. Unless getting your paperwork done in Canada is harder than getting it done in Texas.
Yeah, level 2s aren't crazy expensive.
I mean, it's $500 for the Tesla one, either at home or in public.
Right, and then how much does it cost to install it? Well, it depends on the run and all that other stuff, but
right, but not $100,000 for a $500 unit.
Definitely not $100,000. If you're spending $100,000 to install a level 2, like you did something wrong.
You got a bid messed up, that's for sure. If the
Now,
owner in Ontario would actually,
that's different.
Right. So if they were level 3s, that'd be great. So this is an actual Canadian. He says, as an EV owner in Ontario, what would actually be useful to me would be 50 level 3 chargers along the secondary highways and main highways that are currently underserved. I've never used a level 2 charger except the one in my garage. I don't go that many places where I'm going to be parked for several hours at a time, which goes back to what Omar and I keep saying, is that level 2s have their place. But if they're in the wrong place, in the wrong application,
then they don't make sense.
Right, it's like being dehydrated and somebody sprinkles some water on your face. I mean, it'll help, but it doesn't cure your dehydration.
Level 2s make sense. Like I always say, in places where you're going to spend a large amount of time. At a movie theater, okay, it makes sense. You're going to spend a couple hours there, you get a little bit of charge. At hotels where you're going to stay overnight, totally makes sense there. But, I mean, on a road, on a highway, no, that doesn't make any sense at all.
Exactly.
Grocery shopping, it's just like opportunity charge, but it doesn't really do much for you. Like, in all these places where you're only going to spend a shorter amount of time, you need the DC fast chargers.
Exactly.
So make it make sense, people.
Video with narration by Robert Llewellyn.
How was your gasoline created?
From somewhere else. Yeah, they never ask. So
talked about, some people always ask, how is your electricity created? But they never explain how their gasoline is created. Why do you think that is? Why do we have to always talk about how the electricity is created, but we can never talk about how their gasoline is created?
So the argument goes, electric vehicles don't pollute, but the electricity powering the electric vehicles does pollute. Some even say it pollutes even more than a gasoline or petrol burning car. If we're going to look beyond the EV itself to the energy that powers it, shouldn't we do the same for the fossil fueled combustion car? So what goes into producing the fuel that you burn in your car every day? Gasoline or petrol starts as oil, on average 5,900 feet below the surface of the earth. A great deal of oil is extracted using what is called a pump jack. Pump jacks don't run by themselves. In most cases, they use electricity. It takes, on average, 9,960 kilowatt hours of electricity every month to drive one pump jack. To put that in context, that is enough electricity to power a Tesla Model 3 for 34,860 miles. In the United States,
a heck of a lot of electricity just to pump the oil.
Just to pump it out the ground.
Yeah.
We're not even talking about to transport it to the refineries, then refine it, then after refining it, transport it to the gas station, and then put it in the ground, where later it has to be pumped out of the ground into your car.
Exactly.
There are an estimated 435,000 oil wells using pump jacks. Estimated electricity use for these wells is over 4,300 gigawatt hours a month. That is a lot of electricity, and that is just to get the oil out of the ground. If we used that electricity to power electric vehicles directly, it would be enough to power over 15 million electric vehicles.
So somebody pointed out that, a lot of these pump jacks actually run from oil that they pumped up, generators on site that run the oil that they're pumping up. They just siphon off a little bit. But the point still stands that electricity could have been pumped directly into an electric car. And then there's the ones that are powered by solar panels. You could have powered an electric car on the grid instead of
And if
gas.
if you're burning oil specifically to generate the electricity to operate the pumps, that is a very dirty way of generating that electricity. Now you're literally burning oil, raw oil, which is I don't know how much dirtier you can get there.
Right.
I mean, it's not coal, but still, it's dirty.
It is. Yeah. So I put a link to that in the chat, so you can watch the whole video. But I thought it was well done. Yeah, there are things they could do better, but I mean, for a brief explainer without explaining all the deep science and all the exact figures, I mean, if you see that and you want to dig deeper, they give you what you need to figure it out. So take a look. Moving
I like
on.
that video.
Me too.
I like that.
Robert Llewellyn is a good neighbor there too. All right, so yeah, we already talked about boiling water. So we talked about Microsoft. We talked about Mary. Looks like I went in a circle. Stand by. Okay, much better. We're on to stuff that we haven't already covered. GM will give a 2023 Cadillac Lyriq EV, this is coming from the other Omar again, to 15 universities and challenge students to improve the vehicle's efficiency and propulsion system while maintaining performance. They couldn't figure out how to do it themselves, I guess. Haha, GM. And then James points out, he's been on the show before, he points out that GM has a history of saying no to improvements suggested by others, only to try and implement themselves as their own ideas later on, which I thought was a fair point. But not invented here syndrome is real. Yeah, so it wasn't an article, it was just something to point out.
Isn't that what happened with the charging standards?
Mm-hmm.
Like, when Tesla came out with theirs, everybody else said, well, since we didn't come up with it, no, we can't adapt that. We're going to need to adopt something else. And then they came up with theirs, which with CCS.
Yep. I don't know why I picked this next one. It was about the next Ford electric pickup, but actually it has a link to something I found more interesting already. Let's click on this instead. The Ford F-150 Lightning home integration system is going to cost $38.95, which they think is a reasonable price. I think that we've already discussed this in the past, or we only discussed the charger at $1,500.
I've been telling people this. They're like, oh, well, you can just get the F-150 Lightning, and then now you have a in-home generator and all this other. And it's like, well, you have backup battery for your house, and you can. It's like, well, you're going to have to pay money to get another piece installed. It's not like you just plug the truck in and it's automatically going to charge the truck and then backfeed it into your house when needed.
Right.
It doesn't just work that way. You obviously need another piece installed that's going to cost money.
Right. So you'll need this system.
Now we have the price.
Right. So you'll need the system for $38.95, and you'll need the charger for $1,500. I like this whole Teslafication of the pricing. Like that sounds like it's just a hair over cost. Like the Tesla chargers are $500, but they're only one way. So I imagine a bidirectional charger would cost really close to $1,000 or $1,500 if you're Ford. And then the grid integration system, like it'll flip your house over to self-powered, so you don't zap a lineman. I like this. So let's see what all they say is included in the $38.95.
This right here is one of those moments where I think Ford is actually going to do the right thing to catch Tesla. They're doing a whole suite of what Tesla's doing. Hey, we'll give you the solar and extra battery packs. So
I don't think they're giving you solar, not for that price.
What I'm saying.
They're not giving you solar for that price. That's not happening. But
Tesla has the same setup, but a lot of people don't know it.
That's probably why Ford got into it.
Yeah. And Ford can
All right,
use
so
the
they need the
name to
Ford
be like
Ford Charge
anything
Power
they did.
Station Pro, an 80 amp bidirectional charger with extended range battery pack. Okay, owners of the standard battery pack can purchase the Charge Station Pro from their dealership for $1,310. Oh, okay, that's pretty cool. So if you get the extended battery pack, you don't have to pay the extra $1,300. It comes with the truck.
price is already
That's a
in the
great
cost
that's a
in the
great
front.
touch. But you still need the home integration system,
But
which
what's the
is
price
not
difference
included.
between having a standard and the extended range pack?
More than
I bet
that.
you the price difference is more than it's a lot more than that $1,300.
Yeah. Second, you need the home integration system, which is not included. It consists of an inverter, transfer switch, and small battery to power the system temporarily until when the main power goes out. Okay, that was the other thing I was telling these people is that a couple of my friends were like, "Hey, I could buy a Powerwall or I could buy a truck." I'm like, yeah, you could buy one Powerwall and a truck, and it would be even easier than buying the appropriate amount of Powerwalls. So it looks like Ford saw the same thing, and they have a small battery that will power you through the transition. But that still means that if you're not home and the power goes out and you've got the truck out, then your alarm system, your refrigerator, everything is still going to go down, which was Elon's argument. But I keep saying, you only need one Powerwall. That can run the fridge and the alarm system while you're gone for days.
That can run your critical stuff, right?
Exactly. Then when you get home, you plug in the Model X and Cybertruck, whatever, and boom, you're good to go. It sounds like this Ford suffers from the same problem that Elon was talking about, though, that once the fridge drains that small battery, if you're not home, you get spoiled food.
Right.
But as I said, there's a way to get around that, in that you also have a battery backup a smaller battery backup for the whole house. Until now, the cost of the system was not known. However, thanks to Ford's Director of Charging and Energy Services, Matthew Stover's LinkedIn post, we now have the answer. The home integration system will be sold exclusively through Ford's partner, Sunrun. Oh boy.
Are they partnered with Sunrun?
That's a weird choice. Yeah. Sunrun, in the neighborhood that my house is in, they ruined a bunch of stuff. So that's why I had that reaction to. I mean, I'm not saying they were bad. I'm just saying that they were not good in my neighborhood, and that's exactly why I had that weird reaction to seeing their name. It will cost $38.95. In fact, the people who got Sunrun in my neighborhood, they all ran afoul of the HOA, and all the owners had to come back and pay to get back in compliance. So it might cost you more than that if your neighborhood has such exacting controls as mine, try to keep you under their thumb, which is amazing because it's a cookie cutter starter house neighborhood. There's no reason to be that controlling. It's not like we got manicured lawns and a gated community. No, it's just literally just first houses for people. But that might be like they might be just taking it too far. Like, oh, this is my first house. I want it to be blah blah blah, whatever. Or they're just on power trip. I don't care. You've got weeds in your yard. They came up an inch too far. It rained yesterday. Did you want me to cut in the rain? Because then you'll be complaining about the ruts in the yard. I don't miss them. All right, so they're partnering with Sunrun, and you'll need the intelligent battery backup power system, the Ford Charge Station Pro, which will come standard with the vehicle on some Lightning owners, and therefore the out-of-pocket expense to the backup system will be $38.95 plus installation. So there you go. It's going to vary based on your house, but still, that's not a bad price for the hardware, assuming that you got access to the garage or the attic or wherever you're going to put this stuff, basement, outside the house, whatever. Oh, that's cool. You can buy the stuff from Sunrun and then use your own installer, which is what I would do, because I would prefer not to contract Sunrun. So you can use somebody like Qmerit or somebody local. The LinkedIn post actually beat Sunrun to the announcement. Whoops. As of writing the article, the Sunrun website still doesn't show the price of the system. It simply states home integration hardware price coming soon. That's nice. I think this is the way to go. Except for involving that company at all. But, like I said, in my neighborhood, they didn't do wood, but that doesn't mean that they're a bad company. It just means that none of us had a good experience with them. And that could be an anecdote. It could be a bad manager, a bad set of installers. I don't know. The post does explain that installation costs for the system will vary per customer to customer because your panel could be in the wrong place, or they could have to upgrade your wiring. Who knows what the case is going on here? When installed, the battery backup system can deliver 9.6 kilowatts to the home, which should be enough to power your entire home for many days during power outages, provided the truck was charged up before the event goes out. So yeah, excuse me. That's what we do anyway. If we know there's a storm coming and we might have to evacuate, we charge above 90%, have it ready to go in times that the power might go out. This is no different. If it's one that we think that we could survive, we still charge the car up to exactly 90% because we may lose power long enough that we end up in the car. So we plan ahead there. The system can be manually controlled through an app, or owners can set it automatically engaged when the power goes out. You can also set a limit to restrict how low you allow the system to drain your vehicle's battery, therefore assuring you leave enough power in the battery to tackle any journey you need to take, which is another thing that we look at. It's like, even if we are going to go out and mess around and do stuff before the storms hit, we always leave enough that we can get either to the next supercharger or out of state, depending on where we're considering these emergencies to happen. So that was something that I had described how I would want to see a system like this run. Like, you have a minimum charge you want to set in the battery. Looks like you can set it from. Looks like it's a separate app, but I would want to do it from the car's app. You set your minimum level, and then something happens. The car will drain to that level, and it'll stop. Hopefully, it gives you a warning. Hey, we're about to cut the lights to your house because, whoops. This is really cool. I like.
No, it just stops working, and you're like, "Why? What happened?"
Right.
Surprise.
It's gonna be thousands more for installation, so not cheap. Not necessarily. Like my Tesla installer, my Tesla wall connector Gen 2, it was like $100 because the guy that installed it did installations for generators for a hardware store. He took a cable that he said he would use for the generator. And he said, like, this is big enough to run your house if you wanted to. And my panel is right next to the charger. It's like it was a less than a meter run, so it was like $100 for his time and the materials. And
yeah, but that's your case. Everybody's
got well, that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying.
It's going to vary.
That's what I'm saying. Your stuff will vary. So for me, it was under $100, and that was an 80 amp circuit, same as you'd use for this. But somebody in another neighborhood, like for a Powerwall install, for instance, could be tens of thousands of dollars because you got to rerun wires to the back porch. And speaking from somebody's actual experience here, they had to rerun wires from the back porch to the garage and back up to the solar system, and it was not a cheap retrofit. Yeah, so, but go ahead, Omar. Sorry.
I would just say that it's going to be anywhere from a few $100 to maybe could be
10,000. That's a good rule of thumb. Or 100 to 10,000.
It could be anywhere from a couple hundred to a couple thousand.
Yep.
It's going to vary. Just like installing a charger station for your car in the first place, it varies.
Yep. Like, it's the same sort of system because it's only a couple amps more than, or in my case, the exact same amps as the charging station. Yeah. So, I mean, it might not be cheap, but just because it could be expensive doesn't mean it's going to be expensive. And no, it does not include install. They implied it the whole time, but anybody who was reading their weasel words could tell that they were not planning to give you a free install. They kept saying may, could, should, all the stuff that told you that they were not going to take care of you. But again, the equipment price was not bad, and I like that. So speaking of battery backups, the clinics in the Ukrainian towns have received free Tesla Powerwalls and solar panels. The Powerwalls will be set up for clinics in the towns of this town and Irpin, located near Kyiv. And that is cool. We need more of this. Like this is real stuff right here. Like us not having our cars on time is a lot different than not having a house to live in and having your city overrun and your family broken up from illegal acts. So then they're telling you what a Powerwall is, and I think that this is very good. Bring on more of this. That actually might work if they see that. So what I was laughing at for the audio folks is some guy was said, I bet Bezos can't match it. I double dog dare him. You too, Mr. Facebook. This is not the Elon site. This is a agnostic site. Some of the commenters, they're just really angry. So speaking of charging circuits, if you hadn't already ordered your Tesla with the mobile connector, Tesla's officially pushed back the order deadline to April 28th. This was written on April 28th, so right now it's too late because of May 1st. But if you were later to order your Tesla and you wanted it to come with the mobile kit, well, it does. Up until 2 days ago. Yeah. That's pretty cool. I like that now it's official, because like before, what we were hearing earlier was like from service centers, and as we know, the service centers and Elon don't communicate that well, and Elon says some stuff and they don't know what's going on because
that needs to be a job at the service center. That's a whole.
It should be a service job, like the service director of all service should be tied into Elon's tweets.
Porter and keeping up with his Twitter.
like they should get an email every time he tweets, and they should determine if they need to send out an email to all the service centers or all the service centers in a region.
Well, the problem is they don't even have like good communication with each other.
Right. They can't even pick up the phone and like Omar had tell me about your service, Omar.
I mean, from one service station to another service station in the same area, they can't even pick up a phone and call each other. Like they literally have to type a message that somebody has to hope that eventually somebody will look at the screen and see it. Like they can't even, their communication is just terrible, even internally. So
right.
That's something they need to work on.
Yes. All right. So next we've got this one. I hate to bring back more politics, but it is completely on brand and on topic. So here we are. Oh, man. Why? So Virginia Senator Joe Manchin blasts the EV tax credit expansion and calls for hydrogen, of all things. So who's paying you from the hydrogen lobby, Mr. Manchin? So Manchin's full cell hydrogen is using energy to crack natural gas or water to produce hydrogen is a waste of electricity and time. By the way, the producers would then likely crack from natural gas, which does not help climate change or Manchin's coal state. They do coal, not natural gas. But it does keep, it just keeps things centralized, because now you need to go to a station, you need to run it through pipes.
Yeah, but since he's a coal guy, I wonder why.
Right.
How does hydrogen?
And not only that, but like you can run EVs on coal. Like that was the whole argument.
Yeah, I know, but so I don't understand why hydrogen. How does hydrogen help him?
Hydrogen hurts him because it comes from a fuel that he doesn't even make.
So why?
Yeah,
I'm trying to wrap my mind around his motivations and try to make it make sense, and I'm coming up with a plan.
Impeding progress. All right, let's see what they say in the article. West Virginia.
Once everybody changed directions, like, look, okay, you did too much R&D over here, so change direction, start your R&D in this direction instead, and then that way that'll slow down the adoption of getting back around to where you should have been going in the first place, because you're going to find out that this direction doesn't really make as much sense as that direction anyway.
Right. And calling on hydrogen to decarbonize doesn't work, because very few places are making their hydrogen from green power. And combining the word clean and green. Most hydrogen in the world comes from natural gas.
This is something that I've seen that's just against this administration because it's this administration. This literally
it could be, which is really weird because they're supposed to be on the same team. But I mean, we've seen him buck the trend repeatedly. So I think his idea is he's afraid of throwing $5,000 to $7,000 to $12,000 to individuals, because we already know we go over $1 million a minute to the fossil fuel industry in direct subsidies or tax credits or whatever. So it's okay to give it to a company, but it's not okay to give it to a hardworking, red-blooded American.
And here's the crazy thing. This can go to a Kia dealership for the Niro EV. This can go to a Nissan dealership.
Well, don't tell them that. Tell him it could go to the Ford store, it could go to the Tesla store, it could go to the GM store.
I mean,
You don't tell them it can go overseas.
Obviously, it can go to the
Right.
but it's literally jobs that you're incentivizing for the people in your community. As Bruce Almighty. God bless it.
Pretty much. Hopefully whoever's paying him will come back to their senses, but I doubt it. You hate to see it, and not in the fun, good way. You really, literally hate to see it.
It's just bananas.
All right, so Tesla China actually does advertising, even though Tesla US does not. And they've released a new promo video on their website for the CyberQuad battery pack design competition. And it has music, so I skipped it. It's probably in Mandarin anyway.
I think that's one of the things that Tesla China probably negotiated themselves. You want to sell here? We got to advertise. Okay.
I don't think so. But it's a lot easier to sway the public when you're already out there, and you just put out one more thing that you're already doing. But this one is more of a policy piece instead of a company ad or whatever. So that's pretty cool. Was that the CyberQuad official or the CyberQuad toy?
I think that was the one, the CyberQuad for kids.
Okay, so it's using 2170s. I had no idea. I thought it was like the Radio Flyer pack, like the Model S for kids. That's really cool. So why was there 4680s? Yeah, that's one for kids.
The kids CyberQuad, I think, has a lot more power than it probably should.
Right. Okay. Now they're over there sleeping. She's making noises.
Or maybe they're just talking about what's to come.
Probably so. So this one, I didn't read the article. I didn't plan to read the article. But Jeff Jarvis is pointing out New York to DC via seaplane. Companies eyes the region tightly controlled airspace. But this isn't. I didn't want to talk about the article. Do you guys remember a couple months ago we talked about these seaplanes over in the Washington, Oregon region going up towards Canada, right? How they were electric, right? So maybe you can beat the traffic, not have to worry about the commute, and it could be an EV. Put those electric seaplanes on this thing if it comes through. That's all I'm saying.
I agree. Those should be electric. That would be awesome.
If you put it on the ultralight level, I think the ultralight.
I'm not commuting in an ultralight.
Well, I mean, if you fly at that level, the ultralight can fly above so high. If you drop the plane to that level, I think it should be good without the airspace control, right?
I put my family commute in an ultralight.
No. I'm saying the ultralight flight height, the ceiling. If you bring those seaplanes down to that ceiling, shouldn't you be okay with the airspace?
But if you've already got approval to it's a full-fledged airplane, why not use what it's made to do?
Yeah, you wouldn't need that. You're right.
But it's such a short distance. You can do an EV, still have your reserve, and it can land on the ocean anyway. So you don't even need as much reserve. So I'm saying just bring those from the West Coast back to the East Coast, and if you open this up, you don't even have to worry about extra space at the airport.
Yes,
this is ideal. Yeah,
go straight to the.
I like it. I like the idea of it.
DC to New York in an hour? Yeah, let's do it. 2 hours, whatever. 3 hours, I don't care. Still faster than driving.
Definitely.
But that was the reason I brought that article up, not for any particular, because I didn't read the article. It was just, it prompted me to think about those planes and what we could do. So the awesomely weird Alibaba electric vehicle of the week, $5,000 solar power 4-seat electric boat.
Oh man.
So this is like a golf cart for the ocean or lake or whatever, and it's only $5,000, and I thought it was cute, and I liked the picture, so I shared it here.
That is really fun for.
I think that picture is going to end up happening to somebody.
Oh, you know it. You know it.
A dinghy. That's really nice for like a small lake or a shallow river or something like that. That's really neat though.
I imagine a wise boater would be keeping the life vest on the whole time for this one. No need for storage. Maybe it's the well-earned paranoia of getting a massive sunburn, but I wish the solar array was much, much larger. Even better, the 4 seats are arranged in a dating setup. There you go.
Okay, cool.
All right, so let's read some of these specs. These people liked it. I just thought it was cute. Let's see. Oh, it's a jacuzzi. I thought it looked like a jacuzzi. Just enough room across the seats to awkwardly fight with your partner over foot space. The center console can be shared by either of the 2 forward-facing occupants. And if bobbing around in an oversized gravy boat wasn't enough to turn you green already, backwards-facing seats could likely finish the job. The real beauty, though, is the solar panel canopy that doubles for blocking the sun's rays from reaching your fragile skin, as well as absorbing the sun's energy to convert it into propulsion for the electric motor. It appears to be both a 300 and 400 watt version, depending on how you'd like to set up your array. Considering there's no storage for paddles in this pleasure cruiser, I might suggest maxing it out with a 400 watt option. Yeah, I agree. Everyone dipping a hand over the side to pull water in the direction of the shore is not going to cement any lasting friendships or budding romances. There doesn't appear to be any storage for life jackets either, so the manufacturer seems pretty confident this thing is staying above the waterline. Or like the commenter said, you're not taking them off.
Yeah. I think more the latter.
Yeah. I like this. It looks like a jacuzzi because it is a jacuzzi. That's kind of cool. So you got 2 people here and 2 people here. And then I guess you could swim off of it and come back? I don't know.
I would guess.
All right. I just thought it was cute and fun, so that's why I brought it up.
It is. It fits good for like a small family. It'd be fun just cruising around.
Yeah. Look at some stuff real quick here. All right, here we go. We've got CBS News is reporting that as the gas price continues to soar across the nation, oil producer ExxonMobil has reported a $5.4 billion profit during the first quarter, doubling its profits compared to the same quarter last year.
Here's a shocker. Like I keep saying to other people, certain people.
Yep, pure advantage.
The prices where they're at is greed on the part of the oil companies because they are making more profit. Period. I mean, the price of the barrel of oil is not even. It's just frustrating.
Yep, I like how nobody was surprised in the comments.
That's definitely not a shocker.
All right, so let's go to another major oil conglomerate, but in a happier light. All right, this one is Shell. So Shell has partnered with ABB on a global framing agreement on EV charging. So ABB will supply its end-to-end portfolio of AC and DC charging stations to Shell. Because they keep bragging about how they're an energy company. Well, stop doing fossil stuff and deliver energy, literally. And so they are. Nice.
Well, that's good.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not
at least they're putting some of that oil money to some good use.
Right. I'm not opposed to them making a profit or even that they sell oil. What I want to see them do is transition. I can't expect them to transition overnight. Just like I don't expect everybody in my neighborhood to be driving an EV tomorrow. They're going to need to get their gas from somewhere, and
right, the transition it takes time.
Right, as long as they keep moving forward.
Right, keep moving forward towards the transition.
The pipeline hack was really crazy because there was somebody who had a Model 3, but they had a gas can run to the Costco gas. But the reason they needed it is because it was for they haven't switched over to their lawn equipment being electric. So it was really weird to see this. And so this is where you get a case where they got to go get lawn equipment and charge their vehicle at the same time over any other opposite scenarios. So it's weird to see this, but that's what it reminded me of.
Well, I mean, I would. It makes more sense to move your lawn equipment over first, but I guess if that's what it takes to get you to realize that you don't like running behind fumes anymore, then that's one way to do it.
I'm just not mechanically inclined, so switching batteries is faster. And by the time
faster, you're not messing around with a pull cord or maintenance.
Yeah, right. My shoulder.
Way less maintenance. I
dislocated my shoulder before. That, and by the time I run out of batteries, juice, I needed to stop anyways. That's why I tell people all the time. That works? Yes. By the time I run out of juice from all batteries, I'm taking a break anyways. I'm exhausted. But that is dope. And that looks like a regular shell station too.
It is a regular Shell station over in Europe.
I'm talking about like here, because sometimes you get them little seedy looking kinds and not be well built as this one looks like. So that's really good. I like this.
All right, so I am doing something here because we keep saying the word moving forward. So what I'm doing now is getting a license for a song and getting the song.
No, that's why I first started when I seen this Sheets and Wawa's and the other gas stations becoming energy stations now, well ahead of cycle. That I peeped one in Virginia on the way up spring break weekend for my daughter. It was really weird to see that. It was fun because it was less charging or more cars getting gassed than cars being charged, which means you should have been getting an electric to charge. It was just easier and less line. Definitely something to see in person.
The Mac does audio funny. All right, so what I wanted to do was this. Oh, I see why it's where it is. I put it in the wrong folder. Let's put it here. There we go. So this is called moving forward. So let's continue on. Oh, I gotta hit play. So next up, we've got GM Canada announces Ingersoll's Kami plant retool is underway. So the Bright Drop vehicles that we've been seeing them advertise forever are finally on the way. Yay. I still don't understand the AI containers, and I would love to see them in place so that they make sense to me. But until then.
Definitely.
Yeah. So electrify all the things, as I keep saying. So even just the truck itself, I think the truck is a great idea. And the AI containers sound cool. I just need to see a practical application for them. Because it's like, what are you going to do? You're going to supply all the restaurants on the street? You're going to just park at the end of the street, and then the containers are going to drive out, and the empties are going to come back? What?
The drop-off container goes.
How does it work?
Right. I mean, they're selling it, but they're not saying exactly what. So the Bright Drop 600 and 400 vans are what they're going to use. So next year, right on time.
After a production shift. More jobs. Every time I see this, it's more jobs.
Exactly. So Wait But Why posted a tweet. That's just a picture. How's that make you feel? I mean, normally people show me signs, and I'm like, is that high? Because sometimes they're trying to say how low the gas price is. There's no allusions to what's going on here. I know that's high.
That's definitely high.
$7 a gallon.
This reminds me of a video I saw. An actual local rapper was actually rapping about how the price is so high. He's like, I had to charge my mama a $25.30 ticket to the store.
I don't know what location that is that it would be that high, but
it's that one gas station in Southern California that's like in between towns.
I'm imagining that it's like far from other sources, so it's like, yeah, they're always higher than normal.
I didn't realize that UK did the extra 0.9 thing as well. But to answer Stu's question, it's taxes. It's an old tax that we just levied on top of everything. This is not the song I thought it was. I hope you enjoyed the credit there, Mr. Whoever. But
the I Am Legend look. That's crazy. It actually was in the movie.
Oh,
yeah, it's a movie.
All right, I'm gonna stop this because it's not the one I was thinking of. There was one where the lyrics were moving forward. It was short. You've seen it in one of my videos, but it ain't this. So if you did like that, it's by Greg McKay. but it's not the one I wanted.
Did those prices actually match up with the other one from I Am Legend?
Yes,
those other
really
prices.
close. $695.
That's crazy.
$695 versus $699. So it's actually
the other prices
cheaper
were
than I Am
higher.
Legend.
That was the I Am Legend was cheaper.
Because nobody was buying it. Wow.
Okay, so the closest they got was regular at $679 and $663. It was also a mobile station.
Right.
That's the crazy, ironic thing. Wow. That's crazy. I'm mind-boggled by that. It's the weird thing that people come up with. Oh yeah, I remember that in I Am Legend. And it's like, really? It's just some things that hit with them. And then probably when this movie came out, I was like, yeah, prices are never going to get that high.
No, I didn't think that. All right, so this is not new. I just saw it. It's from October of 2021. The Bay Area has a grant program of $9,500 to trade in your gasoline car for an EV. So this is like Cash for Clunkers. A bunch of people are complaining that the last Cash for Clunkers ruined the secondary market, but at this point, I really don't care. The secondary market
for gas vehicles, I don't care.
No,
that's what I was getting at. It's like,
we're replacing gas
that's
vehicles
false.
with electric. I'm
That's
happy with
false.
that. I don't care.
The last Clash for Clunkers had to be after a certain age before your car qualified.
It did. I was selling cars at the time. It did make it harder to get cheap used cars for people who didn't have a lot of money. But what we're trying to do now is push EVs. We're not trying to push cleaner cars. We're not trying to do any of that. We want EVs. And so this, I think, is the way to do it, because to qualify for this, you need to have an old car and you need to be lower income. So I think that this is a step in the right direction, because even the cheaper EVs out there, unless you're going for something like the Candy at around 15 to 18 grand after taxes, you the kind of thing that you'd feel safe putting a family in. We're still looking in the 30s to 40s after the tax credit.
Like 30 something.
Right, for the cheapest one. So if we can get that down to the 20s or the teens, depending on what you get, that would make it more accessible to other people, and it would get a clunker off the road, because these people in these income brackets, unless they've been saving for a long time or been gifted a car or whatever, the kind of car that they can afford at that price bracket is not going to be good for the environment, not good for their family. It's going to put that pollution all around their neighborhood. So yes, it does have the same issues as Cash for Clunkers did with removing a very extremely affordable vehicle off the road as far as initial purchase price. The maintenance costs, the health costs, and the fact that it allows people who are not totally well off to get an EV. I think this is a good move. And so if you're in the Bay Area and you qualify, then I think this is going to be good for you to look into it. To give the name of this thing. It's by the Bay Area Air Quality Management District's Clean Cars for All program. And see that right there in the program, name, Clean Cars for All. Obviously, if you look into it, there's probably going to be something up with it. But if only people who are well off can get these things, it's going to take forever for us to complete the transition, and we need everybody in something cleaner. It's the way it is.
Yep.
I think it can be used on used cars too, so that even helps even further. So you could get that $7,000 Nissan Leaf, get a $9,000 or $5,000 credit for it, and then you got a free Nissan Leaf. And as long as you don't need to go over 100 miles, boom, everybody's in a clean car. Obviously, I didn't read all the details because I'm not in the area. So look into this before you do it. And my understanding is if you can use this to afford a new car, you can still qualify for the $7,500 federal tax credit. So you can get you a new Chevy Bolt for not bad money. Doesn't have to be a Bolt. Yeah. All right. So we talked about Austin trying to woo Elon Musk for Twitter, and then we've got something from the Electronic Vehicle Association. How do I get it to work out the way I want? Post. So, there we go. So if I just do this, I'll get just the post because it's in a private group that I got it from. So here we go. So Tesla continues to dominate EV sales. Tesla remained way out in front of the U.S. sales for all electric vehicles in the first quarter, but several new models have made strong showings, like the Hyundai Ioniq 5 and the Kia EV6. For 2022 is dark green, 2021 is light green. Here's Tesla on the Model Y, and then the Model 3.
Between 21 and 22,
yeah,
Ford couldn't sell more Mach-E's.
Right. They were maxed out.
So their production is so they haven't increased their production then. The production
they did. Just that much, that little sliver.
Oh, I'm sorry. It looks the same to me.
Sorry. What's even more impressive is that the Mach-E slightly outsold the Model X.
Yeah, that's what I was looking at.
They weren't making that many Model X's.
They weren't making any Model X's for a year. So that's the other part that gets me right there. So they didn't make any Model X's for a year. They managed the same level of improvement in Model X as Ford did on the Mach-E, and they were making it all year long. Wow. Ioniq 5 started this year. EV6 started this year. The Model S was the same situation. They weren't making any of them for a year. Then you got the Nissan Leaf, which is, I don't know what happened to that car. They're still making it, still selling it, and they did even better this year than they did last year. But they still haven't run out of their tax credit yet.
I didn't know they were still selling that car. I thought they were giving up on it for the Aria or whatever.
Well, you remember, was it last week we showed off some of the improvements they made to the interior on it, and we had to determine that it didn't look all that different.
They stopped making them for a while or something.
Oh no, they never stopped.
Okay.
Yeah, I think people just stopped buying them.
That is true.
Or maybe they stopped shipping them here.
Yeah, a high trim Leaf can, at the time, a high trim Leaf matched the low end Model 3 price. So it was really a no brainer to go for a Model 3 base trim, which was superiorly better when you compare all the support and everything behind it.
Yeah.
Well.
Yeah. So as David pointed out, I still have a lithium-ion 12-volt battery video to make. I've got some self-driving videos to make. I've got the baby to attend to. And so we'll see you guys on Wednesday with the What Drives Us and Tesla Life show. And then back here on Sunday. And hopefully sometime this week I'll get out another video. I've got terabytes of videos in the work in progress folder. And I've got a nice new computer to work on it. And we'll see how that goes. But we'll catch you on the flip side. And again, thank you to all the patrons and members. And again, special thanks to Zachary for the numerous generous donations.
Thank you, Zach.
We'll catch you on the flip side.